Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
2 timeouts still left. 30 seconds to go. Adrian Martinez. What do you have left? Not the football. It's kicked away, and Texas has it.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
3 receivers and a tight end here for Carolina. On 1st and 10. May the pump. Now Elijah Green on the perimeter keeps his feet. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Carolina with Elijah Green.
Sikkim 365 Radio is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Look at this from Bean. He says he can run too. Look at Jason Bean go. Picking him up, putting him down. Inside the 10, 73 yards.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Deckers rolling out. Fires, he has him in the end zone, touchdown! Xavier Hutchinson, his 6th touchdown catch.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We have everybody back together again here in the studio at just a little bit, about a mile from McLean Stadium on MLK, Martin Luther King, right off the Brazos River. Thank you for joining us again today, and a lot of you already in the chat room. And I want to start. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak is back. The Dragon, as somebody said, the Dragon wasn't with us yesterday. They left the show. He's back. We hope you're here. I think it might have been Clint Moses. Here's video from Royden Ogletree, who actually does one of our podcasts, Paul, does he not?
The big one, too.
The big one, too. This is outside of the Farrell Center. Earlier today, you could see a lot of people lined up waiting to get their free tickets for the game on Saturday. Baylor in Kansas State. Tom Berenger, a Baylor alum, put his money down to make sure that people who couldn't afford it, who couldn't, understand, did not quite understand where the tickets might be available. Now, a lot of people who weren't going to go to the game will go to the game, and Todd Berenger is the one that helped out with that. We're going to hear from Jovan Overshon from Baylor Athletics about it in a minute. It's all kind of hit with a fan or two that used the blackout, and next thing you know, bam, here they are, and then here comes a bunch of tickets.
Yeah, that's great for a game that was trending to not be well attended by Baylor fans early in the week. And it's look, a constant struggle across the country when it comes to live sports attendance. There are so many different ways to take in games, and the best one for most people is on their own couch watching on a big TV. You don't have the options anymore of this game might not be on television. Everything's on TV. You can get it somewhere somehow and not have to pay anything extra to go to a game. So that's what you're going to have to fight all the time. And, you still want live sports events and you still want that vibe. There's probably, Garrett and I were talking about it, of the college football brands alone in the country, there's probably 20 that nobody worries about, really, ever. But outside of that, there's still
you're talking about ticket sales?
As far as, like you can say we're going to have this game and people are going to show up. If you're in Columbus, Ohio, or, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like things are fine. But everywhere else, they got to work for it.
Nebraska has the longest consecutive sellout streak, but it has even been boosted by donors buying or businesses buying up sometimes even a few thousand tickets to keep that streak alive. I could see why someone may not want to go, even though it's the only thing going on in town. But today, Baylor fans lined up. I'll get you a number of perhaps how many tickets were sold or picked up today, and maybe even how many are left. Craig, welcome back.
Thanks. So they're going to have to do this again next week?
Well, I know that.
That's the thing.
I get it. They shouldn't have to do it, but they did.
Yeah, so that's great that a bunch of people are getting free tickets, and, that's awesome that Todd Berenger was thoughtful enough and kind enough to do that. I've just kind of sat back this week and, maybe a few years ago I would have been like fire and brimstone, like people need to get out to the game. And I had, a couple people tweet at me that I noticed today. I haven't been on Twitter much Just haven't because I took some time away. But, I saw the rallying cry for the blackout and all those types of things. So, kind of grassroots to get some excitement going. But, man, it's hard for me to kind of jive with it because the excitement's there in the matchup. Like, I don't know what you need besides Kansas State rolling into town as the top 25 team and the Big 12 title on the line to get excited about this game. But in terms of, people having the money to go or those types of things, I understand that's a separate deal. And if that's what's playing into this, then okay, I can understand that. But if it's simply having to generate the excitement level and the attention, then I really don't get that. I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, I don't know what else you're looking for at this point. So if you can't swing it, awesome that some families and some people that otherwise are unable to afford to be able to go are now going to be able to go. But if you can, and like you need to have black uniforms to get enough excitement to go, or you need it to be like this type of opponent or whatever, I don't relate to it. I don't. And I understand that I'm sitting in the press box and all that, but like if there was a game I was going to go to, it's these next two. It's not like the Kansas game or, some of the other ones that have rolled through here. It would be the month of November stretch run where you're in the thick of a Big 12 title race. Like, what more?
Well, and the thing is about these next 2 weeks, it may be 10 years before we have the next 2 weeks like this where all the teams in the race are all kind of playing each other at the same time. And especially if you're a Baylor fan, you're playing the two of the – well, the next 3 weeks.
No, you are in an elimination tournament right now.
All three teams that you need to beat for sure to make sure are all right there. It may never happen that way again.
Paul, if there was like a tournament bracket, this is the semifinals
exactly.
in 2 games this week. It's TCU, Texas, and it's Baylor and Kansas State. And the winners are not going straight to the title game because there's 2 more games to play, but it's a huge weekend for all 4 of those teams. It's a massive – if Kansas State loses, they're done as far as getting into a Big 12 title game. I mean, it basically becomes a 3-team race. Same thing for Baylor if they lose. Now, I know there's all sorts of little scenarios here and there about, I guess you could technically lose and a bunch of other stuff happens. Like Kansas has an outside shot to still get in somehow or another, So
Oklahoma State
Oklahoma State technically has a shot. But really, it's these 4 teams, so – I'm not going to dwell on the fact that it's Thursday and they're, having to drum up the troops. I'm glad that people showed up. I'm glad that people that are getting some tickets, that are wanting some tickets or getting some tickets. I don't want to make it about like the need to have to drum it up, but that's why I asked, like, are they going to have to do this again next week if they win? Because that'd be a real shame. But hey, glad that it's going to be, a good atmosphere. It needs to be. It should be. It shouldn't have to even be talked about that it should be a good atmosphere, especially when you've gone and faced the atmospheres that you faced. Like Provo, how excited did they get for Baylor rolling into town? Lubbock, like a lot of their fans downplayed it. They might regret that they downplayed it now, given how that game went. But that was technically a big game, And so you've wanted a night game. You've wanted blackout. You wanted all these types of things. I hope the fans turn up and turn out this weekend because the football team definitely deserves it. If they had been playing how they played in Morgantown along the last month, then okay, I can understand having some apathy, but they haven't. They've gone out and they've won in Lubbock and Norman back-to-back, and I don't care what the record is of the Red Raiders and the Sooners. They've never done that. They've never gone and done something like that ever. They've only won in Norman twice ever. They hadn't won in Lubbock since, 90, whatever it was?
90. Yeah.
And they've done it back-to-back. So, I mean, this team is starting to hit its stride, and hopefully there's a huge turnout for them this weekend.
We are going to hear from Jovan Overshon of Baylor here in a moment about how all of this went together. There were some students and or Baylor fans that kind of got the ball rolling when they wanted this, what they called an unofficial blackout. And there's a lot of questions I want to get to Jovan and have her answer to make sure we're definitive on exactly what the blackout truly means. And so we'll do that. I have been told, and we're about to get confirmation, that in fact, there may not be any of those tickets that were put up that are available. Everyone showed up. The line was long. We just showed you the video thanks to Royden. And we're now joined by Jovan Overshon, Baylor Senior Associate AD External Affairs. Are they gone, Jovan?
They are gone. They are truly gone.
So let's get this going here. What is the official of what will the team, the uniforms, the blackout? I know there's a lot of this. They want this and that, and they've gotten the tickets. It's going to be great. It might even end up being sold out. What are the expectations of the blackout when it comes to the football team?
Look, this is, hey, I appreciate you asking that question, one. I mean, I think this is a huge game. There's so much riding on this. I know we've all talked about, being tied for second place. And really what we looked at as we looked at, acknowledging this, fan-driven blackout, we just wanted to eliminate any excuses and create an awesome environment for this team. You said it. We got free tickets. You got it. There's a call for a fan-driven blackout. We said, okay, we're behind it. Control our own destiny. We're here in that moment. And so, we hope that, it will be just kind of an organic grassroots support of the Black. We want to black out the stands. On the field, this wasn't about them for this blackout. I mean, this was truly fan-driven. And, I think most people remember we rebranded in 2019, and at that time we just doubled down on our brand colors of green and gold. And I think right now we're like many of those Blue Blood schools out there that are very traditional in their uniforms and aren't really straying for that at this point in time. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun with what we do in venue from a fan perspective.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty quick turnaround in an order, I would think, Jovan, to get all that
that'd be
done.
magical.
Yeah,
let me ask you this: is there also something to do with what you have with Nike, and you don't have that color available right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, we're not necessarily restricted from it, but it isn't part of our package right now. Again, we're just, we're not even 5 years out from our rebrand. And at that time we said, hey, what are our colors? They're green and gold. We're going to consistently unify our brand and push those colors forward. So, a black uniform isn't something that is, in our closet and hiding right now, unfortunately.
Jovan, were you, even when you said the tweet and said there's going to be free tickets, was it kind of a mix of emotions of like, okay, I hope this works and quickly, or what was it like when you knew you were going to be able to do that?
So I think first gratitude. I mean, how cool is that? I think, this week, these past, 24, 48 hours are what's so cool about our fan base. It's really been this neat rallying. I think that's why we're excited to get behind, the Black, and we're excited to be able to offer free tickets. And, we're super grateful for Todd Behringer for allowing that to be possible. But, we really didn't have angst about it. We knew those tickets would go because this is exactly what it means to kind of bridge the community and bring people in. So, we felt belief and conviction in that this is who we are. This is what we would love to do and always strive to do. And we just had a partner this time that really made it possible in a short time.
Jovan, what was it like to see the line that formed?
Oh, so cool. Like that's the kind of stuff, you live for. It's just neat. You want everyone to have the opportunity to be part of this, incredible game day environment that we have. Our team deserves it. Like, this is the moment to really get behind, this awesome group of young men and coaches and staff. And it's just so neat to see that we'll have so much of this awesome community packing out McLean. And it will be. We expect it to be sold out, Now we just need everybody that's bought a ticket or claimed a ticket to show up.
Jovan, we were talking about this on the show yesterday when it comes to kind of the modern, at least in the current view of like the economics of gas prices and inflation and being out of town. How big is an event like this for, again, a bunch of local fans to come in and come to the game? Because you've got alumni in Houston and San Antonio and places that are, 6-hour round trips from Waco that may not be making those trips anymore, so that you can grow the base here in town so that they're not the ice cream, they're the toppings, and the people in the stands are really filling up the bowl.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it starts at home. I think, our fan base that extends beyond Waco, they started in Waco, many of them, they're alums. And, I think that's what's so special, to really have an opportunity to reach out and extend arms beyond kind of this bubble that we have here. It's just neat to go into, Waco ISD and China Spring and, different community groups and youth groups that wouldn't have the opportunity to come. Like, that's special. And I think there's just so much to celebrate about, our educators and, those that pour into, the youth and those around our community that do good. This is an opportunity to do that as well.
Jovan, I When we talked to Mac on Tuesday, we brought all this up, and I know he was disappointed. He said some things about how disappointed he was, and some fans, of course, there's always a reason. And everyone, if it's a reason for them, it's a reason for them. But Craig asked this question when we started the show. This is a feel-good thing because of what Todd's done and because of what happened. Yep. Because fans also said, let's do something, let's get this going, and they did. How do you know this won't have to happen again?
You know, here's the thing. I think there are those moments. You know, I love it. There's always fan feedback. There's always ideas and suggestions. And there's also things that, you know, fans aren't aware of that prevent us from doing certain things or allow us to have a different perspective that pushes us in a different direction. But there are those special moments when I think everyone just feels it. And I think this is what's so cool about this game. And this was one of those times for me and for others and for Mac and, you know, Dr. Livingstone and Jason Cook. You know, we really felt that this was a moment to really capitalize on and to lean into, you know, the direction that our fans and our students and, you know, some of our student athletes were pushing us. And we did so because we want that momentum. We want that surge. We need that rallying of our community. And it's all good stuff. It's all good. So I think that's why we're excited. You know, those moments, you've seen people on social talk about, you know, the game. I think it was 2013, the blackout game versus OU, and how that was one of those memorable moments. Like that's part of the beauty of athletics, of sports, you know, those moments. And we hope that we can create something special out of Saturdays that's memorable for people again.
Jovan, can you give out the number that Todd donated based on his this deal?
Well, I won't say specifically the number that Todd gave because I don't know that he wants me to share that. He's been incredibly generous, but I will say this, you know, since we went live with the free tickets, we gave away about 3,000 tickets, you know, so obviously there was a large portion that Todd was able to donate. And then we also had some allocated that we plan to go out into the community with as well. So Todd was extremely generous, but I mean, and just think about that 3,000 tickets that combined with his efforts and just our community engagement groups and, you know, even Jeremy Vickers on campus, you know, we were able to touch a lot of people and organizations.
Do you feel like the community engagement with Baylor is good?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're making great strides. I'd say yes to that, but when I say yes, I always know there's room to do more. I think, you know, we are just scratching the surface of really being able to get out in the way that we want to within the community. So yes, but yes, with room to grow.
One more thing, Jovan, thanks for jumping on. I know it's been a busy time for you. There seems to be almost, and I say conflict, that's a tough word to use, but a tug of war between fans who want to be loud, rowdy, rabid in a good way, and those who maybe just want to be there to watch the game, and they've grown up in a different way. Do you feel that kind of a tug of war of the crowd and energy and what fans think they can do and others that don't want to seem like they're outside of church or library?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I will say it's gotten better. You know, there was the time that I was getting multiple emails from both sides of the aisle pointing fingers at each other, you know, after each game. But I think the divide has lessened. But I think that's on all of us, like collective family, to just kind of educate people and show them the environment that we expect to create, show them what a home field advantage is. And, unfortunately, that's what an in-venue experience is, you know, and I think you think about where you are positioned in a venue and kind of the seats you have and all of that, and that certainly impacts some of that. But, hey, we are there in person to bring the energy. And, you know, we owe that to our teams on the field, on the court, whatever their field of play is. And, you know, that's what we intend to help provide.
So is this game a sellout?
You can anticipate an announcement soon.
There you go. Thank you very much, Jovan. Thank you very much. Jovan Overshon of Baylor Athletics. And by the way, You got to give the students and the fans who started this thing. And then, yesterday we're on the air, and all of a sudden Baylor Athletics tweets out that they are now behind the blackout. And there's going to be people, how come they don't want to wear the black uniforms? And that's another story. And honest, you know what's good is that somebody stepped up, like they've done at some other schools as well. But in the case of Baylor, Todd Berenger, and whatever it was, 3,000 people that may not have been going to the game will be at the game. And I hope that it means it's lit up, no matter the weather, no matter what, that those who have tickets will go, and maybe 45 to 50,000 people will show up.
The easy answer for why they don't want to wear black uniforms is they don't have them. It's not that they're not in the class.
And there's also the thought that, it kind of brings back the old era of what?
I think that's such a ridiculous. I'm not saying
that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I think that's so. Do the gray uniforms too? Do chrome uniforms too? They didn't just wear black uniforms and that was exclusively what they wore. Every team in the country, Oklahoma has black uniforms now. That I don't. If you sit there and you see a picture and that's what makes you think of a certain time period, then I don't know how to help you, because that was not, to me, I don't get that. I think that's a silly thing to think. Is that the black uniforms stir up bad feelings or something like that? Because I don't get that when I see chrome gold helmets. You know what I mean? And I think those are far more identifiable from that time period than all black uniforms were.
The fact is they don't have black uniforms as well. But there are some that say Baylor did not want to wear black uniforms Saturday because of what I was bringing up. They don't have them. And maybe one day that will be a part of whatever they have their next repertoire.
Yeah, I do think that in their next package with Nike that needs to change. There's no reason why they shouldn't have a set of black uniforms. I think all blacks look good. I think they pulled it off before. And I think that's just a fun option to have. You did your traditional, and you've got those, and that's all great. Don't think you have to go and get all grays and all everything else is that you're building up to have when you were basically a Oregon style program on the upswing, when you were known for your big flashy offense and your big flashy uniforms. It's not what you have to go back to. You can still be somewhat traditional, but have your alternate, have your all black that for a special occasion like this Saturday, and you want to drum up some interest. This all started over black uniforms. So, I just think it would be smart in the future that, tradition is great, but get some all black uniforms, because clearly there's a demand for it. Clearly the fans like it. Clearly that's something that this game got extra interest just simply over the blackout theme, not the opponent or not the day or not because of the blackout theme. So I don't know. If I was in charge of the uniforms, I would give it a long, hard thought about when they redo those that, we probably should have some all black sets just ready for special occasions. That's me, though.
All right. That's Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. That's me, David Smoak. Jack McKenzie's here. He was at a men's basketball media session. Garrett Ross is running the mothership. Levi and Emery and Jacob are out there somewhere like drones, out there doing what they do for us. And maybe even one of them is having an off day, which is verboten. This is 365 Sports. We're going to hear next from Kansas State Athletic Director Gene Taylor. This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Go to marcos.com and you can order online, and there's various specials. Large one-topping pizzas, a carry-out only $8.99 each. There's a code number. Name. Pepperoni favorite pizza, Pepperoni Magnifico, $9.99. Order online, use PepMag, and that can be delivered or you can pick it up. Also, $3 off large specialty pizzas. There's a special code for that too. And then also unlimited medium one-topping pizzas. A code for that, $7.99 each. And the cauliflower crust pizzas, I was online last night ordering some stuff for us here in the studio, and there's a lot more than just a cauliflower pizza. There's different options of what you want with toppings. Pizza bowls. Download their app at marcos.com. App and get 25% off. That can be, of course, on your phone. And then again, you can use that for 25% off your very first menu choice. It's Marco's Pizza, 4 or 5 locations, Hewitt Woodway, Robinson, also in Belmead and China Spring in the Waco area. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
During Jeep Adventure Days, Allen Samuels in Waco is celebrating with an incredible lineup of 2022 models like the Grand Cherokee L, Renegade, Wrangler, and the Wrangler 4xe. These vehicles bring power to plow through any obstacles or the smooth, peaceful ride you'd expect from a Jeep. Jeep SUVs are also known for their design and technology. The Grand Cherokee L even brings you extended seating with a third row. Come see what Allen Samuels can offer you and your family and find the Jeep SUV that fits your lifestyle.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal, seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select, Choice, and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for tailgating, barbecue cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Waiting on Kansas State Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor. Monday at 4:30, Jamie Pollard, the AD at Iowa State, will join us. He's a part of the college basketball committee, men's college basketball tournament committee. By the way, Jacob Wilson is not here today, but happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps. And Jacob Wilson served in the U.S. Marine Corps, and that's part of how we got him back here in Waco. We had him at the radio station as an intern, and great to have, proud of Jacob and all, of course, who serve for the U.S. Marine Corps. And tomorrow being Veterans Day, we'll get into that as well. So we've done the ticket deal. We've seen the video. Here was, in fact, the tweet last night on the Todd Behringer donation from Baylor Athletics. This you asked, and Baylor alum Todd Behringer has delivered. Thanks to his generosity, you can claim free tickets. Well, that's done. Everything's gone. As far as the tickets that Todd bought and the ones that were made available earlier today, that's the video we showed you, but that was Baylor Athletics. And I saw a little bit of this, and there people could have their own opinion about whether or not Baylor was listening. I know there's still going to always be this conflict until, I don't know, maybe ever, when it comes to tailgating and how they changed it and it made some people angry. And I get that it's there, but they do listen. And I know it may not be always what you want, but they listened this week, and I think it was great when the fan base started going, hey, let's just get this going. And it's turned out to be a wonderful deal for Baylor Athletics and for the football program on Saturday against Kansas State.
And also, to give them a little bit more credit, and I know that some people might never hear this, just because something hasn't changed doesn't mean they don't hear you about it. There could be a reason why it hasn't yet, and maybe it will in the future.
All right, some notes, and then Gene Taylor. Casey Thompson for Nebraska out against third-ranked Michigan on the road. It wouldn't matter if he played. That's going to be probably a pretty bloody bat there. Also, Barry Looney, Jr. is now has had a one-year extension. He was contracted Illinois as their offensive coordinator. Later on, we want to get into the Rose Bowl and the college football playoff, and we will do that later today in the show, but we're now joined by Gene Taylor, Director of Athletics at Kansas State, who joins us. Again, we've had him on before. Gene, thank you for your time with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Thanks for your time. When you see where the Big 12 is now, compared to where it was in July of 2021, how would you describe everything?
Well, it's good to be on again. It's always good to get on with you guys.
Thank you.
There was, it was panic a year ago, and some of us, to be honest with you, well, over a year ago in July when we heard the news about Texas and Oklahoma. But right now it's a totally different feeling. It's confidence. It's a lot of people very comfortable with where we are as a conference and where we're heading. We feel like we're a conference in position of strength, and it just feels way different than it did back in July a year ago.
I asked Mac Rhodes this a couple weeks ago on the show, curious your perspective on it as well, but as you've negotiated a new media rights deal, as you've got a new commissioner, as things are changing, how cool is it and how important is it to the league that the two brands that are leaving, even though one of them is still in the hunt, but they're not the two brands that are the ones that are competing for the Big 12 title alone, that it is Kansas State and Baylor and TCU and others in the mix for the conference title?
Well, yeah, no, it is. I mean, obviously last year Baylor and Oklahoma State played in the Big 12 championship, and it's obviously from a basketball perspective, we know how good this league has been without those two brands, and it just continues, and it is good, and it's good for the league, and I think that's one of the reasons that Brett was able to move forward with our TV partners, because I think they saw the strength and the interest and the balance of it. And so it's a good thing. And I think the more schools we have fighting, which I hope you don't do is beat each other up and nobody can get in the playoffs. But I think it says the strength of the conference, and I think our TV partners recognize that. No question at all.
Gene, what type of insight and what kind of experience has dealing with, being on the college football playoff committee? What's that been like?
Well, it's a tremendous honor, to be honest with you, to represent our conference. And, as we go in there, we literally take off not only our school's hat, but we take our conference hat off, and we just sit there and talk about college football and what the best teams are week to week. We really don't project forward. We just look at the results of Saturday and the Saturday that was just played, and we talk about the strengths and the weaknesses and who they played and who they didn't play, and we understand there's factors like injuries and weather, and really our goal is to make sure each week we put the top 25 that we feel are the best in the country. And the coolest thing about the committee is how many people in that room really are football knowledgeable and how much they all care about the sport of college football. And they really want to come out of there week in and week out putting the best 25 we can. Based on the results of that weekend. And there's some really, really smart football people in that room that I learn from each and every week.
Gene, when you watched the opening of the college football playoff back in 2014, and of course Baylor and TCU were right there in the middle of all that, and every year since then, Have you learned more about what's behind it than perhaps you thought? And I'm sure there were times maybe you didn't quite understand the system.
Well, there's no question. When it first came out, obviously I was, both a fan and, scratching my head at times. And then I actually went to a mock interview or mock selection a couple of years ago. And that gives you just a little bit of a taste of what it's like. But when you're in the room week in and week out, and you understand, you have the conversation, you hear the conversation, I walk out of there feeling pretty good. Now, I know sometimes we always get questions and everybody, why do you do this and why do you do that? But I know the conversations we have in the room about each team and why we feel, and we will look at them, we'll put them up there, and we'll look at them again, and we'll re-talk about them. I mean, it's pretty in-depth, and we take great pride in making sure that at the end of the year, we have what everybody feels is the 4 best teams to play for a championship. And, somebody's always going to question it, but I think if you really knew how much people cared in that room and watched them work, I think you'd get a better sense of that, hey, that we really do care about making sure we got the right teams in there.
Will the job get harder or easier when it's a 12-team playoff?
That's a great question. The thing that we have to think about is at the end of each week, obviously we have 1 through 12, and then obviously we actually have 1 through 25. But at the end of the year, the top 12 teams are the teams that will be placed in the New Year's Six bowls. And so those are really important, particularly that last weekend and where those top 12 teams get played. But with teams with really similar resumes, when all of a sudden you're looking at, this weekend, a lot of teams of 6-3 and, 7-2, and yet they played similar opponents. I mean, it gets really difficult and trying to figure out who goes where. And so, yeah, I think when you get into the 12-team playoff, whenever that happens, whether it's 24 or 26, there's going to be a lot more conversation, probably lengthy conversations, to make sure you have those 12 teams in the right spots.
We know that the last couple of years has been, it's like tornado after tornado when it comes to just storm after storm of college athletics and issues facing it, wide-ranging all over the place. And that includes also trying to figure out the playoff and realignment and all those types of things. How do you feel like Kansas State has made out on, I guess, somewhat of the other end of that? And now that maybe things are starting to settle a little bit, or at least questions are getting answered, how do you feel about the current landscape?
Well, I don't think you can ever just sit back and just say, okay, we're in a great shape. I think you have to be, aggressive and have to be on top of what's going on and keeping your, ear to the ground. And, but I think our fans have come out and they're trying to understand name, image, and likeness and the importance of it and doing it the right way. I think that's been critical. Our donors have asked a lot of questions as to, do I give to NIL? Do I give to our annual giving group? It's called the Ahern Fund. Where do I give my money and how do I do it? And so they've asked a lot of good questions because they really want to help and they really want to make sure that we're in a position to make sure we still get athletes that come in here to K-State and still put ourselves in a position to win championships. But, you can't sit there and rest on your laurels. Coaches are always bringing you ideas and thoughts and, hey, this school's doing that. So you really have to stay on top of it. And it's changing, right? The name, image, and likeness thing kind of seems like it changes week to week. But, in terms of that, in terms of where we are, from a budget perspective, coming off of COVID, I think we're in a pretty good shape and, our facilities are doing fine. So, overall, I feel pretty good about where we are, but we really have to stay, focused and keep trying to move the program forward.
It's not that Kansas State doesn't have a nice tradition in men's basketball, but how much has Jerome Tang given you a big oomph
I'm telling you guys,
yeah.
He's the real deal. And the energy that he's brought early on, not only to the overall fan base, but particularly to our students. I mean, we had, probably the most students we've ever had for an exhibition game, since I've been here. And he comes in and you got 2 scholarship players and he goes out and full, puts together a full roster. And the guy's we're very fortunate to have him. And obviously Scott Drew and knew that, and you guys know that at Baylor, what the impact he had there, and we're fortunate to have him, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of success here. There's no question. I texted him the other night and congratulated him on his first win. He corrected me and said, well, it's my first win at Kansas State as head coach. I guess he got a few as a interim coach or something there at Baylor. So but it was fun to be able to send that text to him because I didn't see it because I was at the CFP meeting.
If you ever having like a bad morning, you were just calling just to get a little pick me up?
That's a great question. I haven't had to do that yet, but I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind if I'm having a rough one. I'm just calling Jerome and say, Jerome, I'm having a rough day, and let him correct it for me. That's funny.
Gene, had you ever stayed at the Gaylord until you started on the committee?
Not at this one. I've stayed at the Gaylord in Washington, D.C., and then I stayed at the one in Nashville, but I've not stayed at the one there in Dallas.
So I think sometimes it's easy to criticize or get questions about what we see, and there's fan bases and emotions and all that. But when you go to the meetings, can you get us kind of like in a quick summary at the itinerary, the timeline of when you get there and when you leave?
Yeah, I mean, obviously most of us come in on Sunday. And a lot of us just really kind of are on our own. Some of us get together and have a little dinner, but then we kind of go to our rooms and watch games, and then put together, what our top. We put in a list of the top 30 programs, not in an order, just whatever the top 30 we feel, and that's on Monday. Usually we start around about noon, 1 o'clock. We sit around and talk, and then we each have a conference that we work with or we kind of watch. So I have the ACC with another AD, and then I'm back up on another conference, and we'll get to say, hey, what did you see this week? Where do you think they are as a conference? Who should be, do you think, in the top 25? We do that, and then we start meeting. Usually 1 o'clock on Monday, we go till about 6. We have dinner, we come back until about 8 or 9, and keep going through it. And then we, sit around, watch Monday Night Football, head to bed, kind of relook at our list and where we think everything is, and then we'll come back Tuesday morning and we'll call, look at it again, and we'll talk about things that we're uncomfortable with, and then we'll finalize and say, okay, is this it? And everybody says, yep. And then we leave, and the chairman gets up and meets with ESPN and introduces the top 25, and then talks about the conversation that went on in the room those, couple of days about why we did what we did.
How much are those breaks important for all of you that you have to can you shut your brain off of what you were thinking about, or that what you try to do during that time? Because you can really get in the weeds in discussions like this.
Yeah, no, you do. I mean, obviously you take a break, you check your email, and if you make some phone calls, obviously we all have jobs that are still going on. Fortunately, we have great staff. Not everybody's an AD. We've got folks, a CEO of a company, and we've got some other folks in the room that have businesses. So everybody kind of takes a break, and then eventually, sometimes we just sit around and talk about either the general world that's existing out there, or we'll talk about college athletics. Mainly, that's usually the topic is college athletics, and sometimes we just want to just have conversations because we all are facing a little bit of the same thing because most of them. Of the committee are ADs. So yeah, you kind of try to get away from it, take a breath, but when you get in the room, you're uber focused on the task at hand.
I know that that was a tough loss to take last weekend against Texas, but this weekend for the Big 12, I mean, you talk about a couple of marquee games and almost like semifinal elimination style games for championship spots. What's kind of the feeling as your Wildcats get ready to head to Waco for a big game?
Well, I think, that's what Coach Kleiman has stressed with, in the locker room post-game, either after wins or, unfortunately, like after the loss last week, it's really you just have to learn from it and then focus on the next team that we're facing. And obviously Baylor's a really good football team, and you can't really think about, he tells the team, and I agree with him, I'm not sure that they all know where we are, right? But how important it is to go out and be prepared for that next team and not worry about, two teams down the road or what happened, on Saturday. And I think with this league, and we all know this conference, week to week, you better be ready to play because there are really good football players and really good coaches in this conference. And if you're not ready to play the team ahead of you, you're going to get beat. And there is no, there is no easy road to the Big 12 to get it to the championship, and we all know that. But there's some big games, and I think in a kind of a different vein, as we expand to 12, not only is it going to have more teams are going to have interest in the conference games, but the fans are going to have interest in the national landscape, because right now, as we get towards the end of the CFP, we'll be talking, how many teams, 5, 6 teams? If you're in the 12-team playoff, you're going to be talking 15, 16, 17 teams that have a chance to make the playoff, maybe more, and I think that's what's cool about expanding to 12.
Gene, obviously there is a lot on the plate, and what you see with what the Big 12 has done with Brett Yormark since taking over for Bob Bowlesby. When did you first hear of him, and what did you know of him at the time, and what have you learned about him since?
Well, I obviously, certainly Bob was tremendous for this conference, and what he did to put us in a position where we are today was phenomenal with getting those 4 teams. But my president called me during the interview process and said, Gene, we've narrowed it down to 3 candidates. And I only knew one name of the 3, and Brett's wasn't one of them. And so I quickly Googled him and read his, bio, and I was like, wow, it's pretty impressive. Some of the things he's done obviously wasn't in college athletics. And then, then he gets the job and we meet him and we have a couple of early calls, and then ultimately he came on campus, and each time I talk to him and some of the things he puts in front of us as ADs and some of the ideas and what he's already accomplished, he just gets more and more impressive. And he looks at it from a very different lens than a lot of us are used to. And that's probably not a bad thing. We're kind of traditional college ADs, college athletic ADs that came and looked at things for a certain way. And I think he brings some freshness to us, some new ideas, some new ways of looking at things, and challenges us to do things differently. We don't always agree with him. And what I really like about him is he'll throw an idea out, and it's not like, hey, I'm doing this to heck with you guys. If we push back on it, he'll listen. And that's what I like. He knows what he doesn't know about college athletics, but he keeps pushing us to kind of look at things differently, and that's not a bad thing.
I know you're tight with Mac Rhodes. We have Jamie Pollard on Monday. We've had Brett Yormark, and thank you. Again, you've been on with us a couple of different times. Can you safely say that since all hell broke loose back in the summer of 2021, that right now the 8 remaining ADs, with all due respect to Texas and Oklahoma, and the incoming 4 are a tightly woven, tight-knit group?
I believe we are. I mean, I believe we, feel that we got through this together in some pretty rough waters back in July over a year ago. As I mentioned, there was some panic and a lot of uncertainty. You had a couple of newer ADs in the room. You had a guy like Jamie who'd been through it before. Mac is as steady as they come. So I think, we feel that, hey, we went through some rough waters together. We need to stick together and make this conference stronger. And when we talk about conference issues, it's not necessarily about what's best for a K-State or a Baylor. Obviously, we want that to be the best, but we want what's best for this conference. And you can just feel that when we have conversations in the room.
Thank you so much, Gene. I know you got a lot more important things than our radio show to be a part of every day, and thank you for being a part of it a couple of different times, and hope to get you again soon. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on, and you guys are awesome, and hopefully we can be on again in the future.
Appreciate
I'll
that.
tell Jerome hello, and if I'm having a bad day, I'm calling him.
That's the best thing to do. We do that with Scott Drew down here. Thank you very much. And even Jerome. That's Gene Taylor, the director of athletics at Kansas State. Really appreciate his time with us on 365 Sports. And, we sit there and look at what the College Football Committee releases, and there's a lot more behind it. And he admitted there's a lot of things that maybe he had to, and now he's learning it. I wish, and they do have a mock, and I know they've allowed the media to be a part of that before, but I've never gotten that press release. I would love to do that, is to go up there one day. I think it would be educational for all of us to be able to go watch that, because I've seen writers who do it, And so I'm going to reach out, not this year, but maybe in the future we get that opportunity.
Yeah, I will say one thing that he did leave out when he's talking about the committee and that they have things to do. Jim Grobe does not. There's just 36 holes of golf he didn't get to play.
At Reynolds Plantation, whenever he possibly can, the timeline of when they arrive, and so perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks to Kenny Lenau as well at Kansas State Athletics. Jamie Pollard of Iowa State, the AD, will join us on Monday. Thank to Nick Jose at 4:30 on Monday's show. Still to come, Max Olson, theathletic.com. His thoughts about the upcoming weekend. Don't forget tonight, 10:30 on the CW channel. Our Sports Tonight, rapid fire of what we do at between 10:30 and 11:30, and so much more to get to. Craig's Off the Radar, Paul's Top 5 notes about the Rose Bowl. This is 365 Sports. Waco has a lot of different people that might work on your dental work, and I have experienced a handful of them, and no one's bad. In fact, everyone's really, really good. But then there's Steve Childress. Dr. Steve Childress is somebody that I met a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. For some reason, I ended up going to see him for what was kind of a medical or dental emergency. I had a cracked tooth, and it was hurting me badly. He fixed it. It was amazing. It was smooth. And he told me, I'd love to continue to work on your teeth. And he gave me some, maybe like a game plan, like a timeline of what else I needed. He was not just helping me that one time. He saw some thoughts and maybe say, hey, David, this is what you need to do. And since that time, I've had teeth replaced. I've had implants. I've had crowns put in. I've had root canals. I've had a lot of things. And every single time I'll walk out of that door going, man, Dr. Steve Childress and his staff are fabulous. They are who I go to. He's even met me after hours one time because I had a really painful issue with a tooth when I bit down on something. That is his commitment to the customer, to the patient. Dr. Steve Childress and his staff at Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Culligan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. And BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Culligan Ford.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Howdy, Chet Garner here, professional guide, searching for bears in the wild. But not just any bears, oh no, a particular kind. With hundreds of thousands roaming freely in the wild, yet still hard to spot unless you know the signs. There they are, Baylor bears. If you're a bear enthusiast or even a bear yourself, join me and let's find some bears in the wild.
Join the expedition at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Texas high school football playoffs begin tonight. 6 weeks to get to what would be the state championship weekend end. It goes throughout the week from Class 2A, Class 1A, six-man football, all the way to 6A at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. That starts tonight. Temple, again, if they win their game against Waxahachie Friday night, they become the third team in Texas high school football history, besides Highland Park and Mart, and Mart's like 15 miles from here, to have 800 wins or more in program history. Also, did you guys know Larry Fedora is no longer the head coach of the New Orleans Breakers?
Yes, left to spend more time with his family.
So he's out. John DeFilippo is now the new head coach of New Orleans. Craig, I hope that was not going to be on your off-the-radar.
No, I mean, that's very much off the radar story, the USFL coaching changes, but no, I hadn't seen that. So, I'm sure Larry Fedora will be getting some college call in no time. But, if he's willing to spend, or he's wanting to spend time with his family, maybe he sits out a little while, but I'm sure that, regardless of his interest, somebody will be interested in bringing him back to the college game at some point. So see what happens there. But, no idea on the USFL and its strength at the moment, to be honest with you.
All right, two games tonight in college football. Tulsa at Memphis on ESPN, Georgia Southern and at Louisiana on ESPN2. The MAC games that I watched the last couple of nights, that's a very entertaining league right now. Ohio and Toledo lead the various divisions, both 5-1. That is fun football, and they've done a great job of finding their niche of when they can get their games televised to a national audience, and I have enjoyed it.
Maction. That's what they call it.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
By the way, that Tulsa-Memphis game is a maybe a swing game for both Philip Montgomery and Ryan Silverfield on their futures in those jobs. Maybe a little bit more for Monty than Silverfield.
Yeah, Tulsa's 3-6, and they've had to dig themselves out of a ditch on a handful of occasions. He's been there. It's been almost 10 years for him now, right? Since the 2000.
I think it's 8-9 years.
14 year.
Yeah, so he's been there 8 years, I think.
And they've had some pretty good runs, and then they've also had some times when they've kind of just gone a little bit south or even just on treading water. When we come back, Max Olson, college football senior writer for theathletic.com, and this is 365 Sports. Pickup Outfitters, they are celebrating 25 years. 25 years in business. And right now, they are going to do this for you. If you buy an accessory, whatever you buy, the next accessory you get for 25% off at Pickup Outfitters. The 25th year anniversary sale, it's a fantastic opportunity for you right now. For example, if you get a bed cover, get a spray-in liner for 25% off. Buy a grill guard, get running boards at 25% off. Or, again, buy a toolbox for one truck, get a toolbox for your second truck at 25% off. And you could do this for each separate vehicle. If you have 4 vehicles, pickup trucks, SUVs, it works for each one of them. Also, they're giving away $4,000 worth of prizes. They're giving away $1,000 in truck accessories, a 12,000-pound winch, set of 4 Fabtech Stealth Shocks, 12-volt fridge cooler, 1-month subscription to Netflix. It's all happening right now. J. Aaron and Company, online, createacommotion.com, accessories for your vehicle, 25th anniversary. It's Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Duggan pulls it out. Looking, Duggan lets it go. Touchdown, Horned Frogs. DeMarcano snuck out of the backfield.
It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Levis, clean pocket, puts it right on the money. Diving, touchdown, Dane Key. And Kentucky takes the lead.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Senior writer for theathletic.com is Max Olson. He joins us on Thursdays, most every Thursdays in the 4 o'clock hour. Max, thanks for your time with Paul and Craig. David Smoak as well. It almost sets up, not quite, but based on how the Big 12 standings and who's playing this weekend, I think the word has almost been like a semifinal type bracket. That doesn't mean if TCU loses, they're done, but don't you kind of see it that way with the 2 games we have at Austin and Waco?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to get a lot of clarity on who really has a viable shot of getting to Arlington after this weekend. Certainly, yeah, TCU's got room for a loss here and to still be well in front of this thing. And I think I haven't totally worked through it, but I think if TCU wins this weekend, pretty much a lock they're going to the Big 12 title game, right? Have you guys worked through that?
Yeah, I believe you're guaranteed. Yeah, I think they earn
pretty
one
much.
of the win.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they have to go through Texas and Baylor, and those 2 are still in it. But it's going to be really interesting, especially when you have when like to see Vegas put Texas as a 7-point favorite at home against TCU. Tells you that there's a lot of sharp people out there who think that Texas matches up with them really well, and I'm fascinated to see if they're ready for that challenge. And certainly K-State's got to rally after what happened last weekend and be ready to go against a Baylor team that I thought really played with some really impressive confidence in Norman.
Max, do you see? I mean, there's a very real scenario where there's a 12-0 team versus a 9-3 or 8-4 team in the championship game, which for the 12-team playoff, what might be a little bit of a nightmare down the road, but this league is just going that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think probably so. Yeah, and it's going to be, you look at like the way this is setting up too. We were talking about this on our podcast today. Like, I think if TCU were to lose a game, because I think it's just going to be really hard to go 13-0. I'm not putting it past them, but I think it's just going to be really hard. I suppose this is the game you want to lose rather than coming up short in the Big 12 title game, even if it's as close as the Baylor Oklahoma State game last year. I think don't you guys think that probably does a little bit more damage to you to take that loss right at the very end there when there's a bunch of one-loss teams nipping at your heels versus a loss right now that you could potentially avenge down the road?
Yeah, I think they're done with a loss either way. But I'm with you. Yeah, like you could take that. You could get a win back against Texas in the championship game if you lose this weekend.
Right, which is the opportunity Oklahoma State had basically. Yeah. in terms of getting to make up for the one you lost. So yeah, am I remembering that
Baylor
right?
Baylor lost in Stillwater, but then got to catch them later on in the year. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see which of these teams can emerge from the pack and be ready to play TCU, and can TCU continue to just play at this really high level here and continue to kind of survive 4 quarters against these teams.
So, Max, TCU was able to, have a big fourth quarter, pull away once again. Yep. Starting quarterback gets hurt for the opposing team again, but Morton had been dealing with an ankle. And then on the other side, here's Texas, who just looks like they're going to blow the doors off K-State, and the Wildcats fight back to make it a closer final score. But what do you see from this Texas team that you find could be quite problematic outside of, hey, it's in Austin, college game day is going to be there, because obviously that adds a little something to the mix as well.
Yeah, certainly it does. There's a lot of pressure. I think the atmosphere is going to be pretty crazy on Saturday night. And you guys know when college game day starts that early, man, people are going to be drunk at that game. It's going to be wild. I think that the difference when Texas and TCU played last year was Bijan Robinson, and just TCU could not find a way to stop him, especially on the critical plays late, and certainly that could be the case again this year. I mean, I think that the way he played against K-State was just so impressive. I mean, he continues to make the case that he's the best running back in the country. And, certainly it's going to take the kind of game that you saw from Quinn Ewers last week and not the one you saw in Stillwater. He's got to play with some poison in this moment. But certainly the ability of Texas's offense to get up on you, I think is really dangerous for TCU defense that's been pretty good, maybe above average, but still has room to grow. And but certainly if Texas, I think we all know if Texas gets jump out to a big lead in this game, I think we're all going to be saying, "Buckle up! Here comes the comeback from TCU," because this team just knows how to respond and keep clawing.
It's a team that starts well, Texas, and a team that finishes well in TCU.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So Kansas State was rolling along. They hammered Oklahoma State. It was shocking, really stunning how easy it was. And Oklahoma State's now kind of in a free fall. Kansas State got back in the game, but it appeared to me, and I hate to bring this up, but it's true, Adrian Martinez kind of had the Nebraska Demons come back at him.
Yeah, I mean, some of those things at the very end there come down to not getting good enough protection, right? I mean, there was D-linemen coming from behind on him and stripping the ball out. I mean, certainly I think Texas's defense, stood up at the end there and made some, they had to go defend a game-winning drive, and they did a good job of forcing a couple fumbles there and recovering the second one. So part of that is just the pressure that was able to get to him by the end of that game. And look, Texas also just did a pretty good job against Deuce Vaughn, which not many teams can walk away from a game against K-State saying, yeah, we feel like we contained them pretty well, but Texas was able to do so. I think you've seen that defense take some strides. Now, obviously, how do they respond to this one with everything that TCU can throw at you, and hopefully Quentin Johnson is healthy for this one. But man, I think Texas is rolling into this game pretty healthy here. And yeah, for K-State, you got to just kind of put that one behind you. And, I really do believe in that Wildcat team. I think they are built for this opportunity here to stay in this race in November. I think they're veteran enough, and I don't think they're going to be intimidated by what's next for them in Waco.
Max, I know this is not by far one of the intriguing games of the Big 12 this week, but given Oklahoma State's rash of injuries and what's going on there now, do you think there's a real possibility that Iowa State could actually make it a winning streak when they roll into Stillwater this week?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can't rule it out. I mean, certainly you need to see Spencer Sanders in that game, and just the absence of him made all the difference on Saturday when they played Kansas. And look, Iowa State, they're not a very sexy team to watch. Certainly offensively, they've struggled far more than I expected they would. As great as Xavier Hutchinson has been, I thought Hunter Deckers would be a lot more productive this year. The run game, you're finally starting to see it a little bit, but it's just been a struggle all year. And yet Iowa State's in these games because they've got one of the best defenses in the country. Bottom line, they've got the best defense in the Big 12, and that gives them a chance in these games. And so, we'll see what kind of shape Oklahoma State's in. And obviously, it's time for them to bounce back after getting embarrassed in back-to-back weeks here. But yeah, Iowa State's got a lot to play for here. I don't think this is a team that has given up, and certainly they're still trying to get to a bowl game.
Getting to a bowl game is something that the Kansas Jayhawks have now accomplished, Max, for the first time under Lance Leipold and the first time in a really long time. You have that in your preseason Big 12 predictions?
I went and visited KU this spring and, walked away. I mean, Lance Leipold is as likable a coach as there is in this conference in the country. And you walk away feeling like, look, they've got the right people there. Like, just give it time. This is finally kind of heading in the right direction. They've got like a really competent staff there that's got a blueprint. And for me, like, I just thought year two, you take some good steps forward. Obviously at Kansas, it really matters whether you win your non-conference games or not, because it's just that affects how many Big 12 games you have to steal. And in their case, they won all their non-conference. And then, and it's crazy too. You guys think about it, like next year, Houston will be in the Big 12. I mean, Kansas won 6 games and 5 of them are basically against Power 5 opponents. I mean, that's just unbelievable to do that in year two. And they weren't doing it against the worst teams in the conference by any means. I think that, that one against Oklahoma State really showed that team's got a lot of fight, and just so impressed. No, I thought they'd win 3-4 games this year, and that would be good progress, honestly, in terms of having just reasonable expectations. But clearly that's a team that was tired of losing and, just didn't give up after Jalen Daniels got hurt. And so it's been so fun to see them, continue to kind of chase something that just nobody thought was possible there.
Max, your thoughts on the top four kind of worked out, after much consternation last week, the top four kind of worked out exactly as everybody thought would this week. And of course, we've got Ohio State, Michigan here coming up in 3 weeks. But what are your thoughts on how it's shaken out, maybe below, and some of the teams that could sneak in should teams start to lose?
Yeah, I didn't have really a lot of problems with the way the rankings came out this week. I think that obviously you were curious to see how much did Alabama and Clemson get penalized, and to put them at 9 and 10 seems about right. I think that I think that the Pac-12 race, I think we're all going to have to kind of turn our attention to that one a little bit here, because you've got 3 8-1 teams, and Oregon's up to number 6 now, but they're about to play a doozy of a schedule. They've got Washington, who has the number 1 passing offense in the country this week. They guys still got to play Utah and Oregon State, and potentially Pac-12 title game. I think that race is going to be so interesting, and it's going to affect the Big 12 certainly, and just kind of how, if TCU were to take a loss, how does it compare to these other teams that are in the mix here? And I think if you're a Tennessee fan, being at number 5, you're probably fine with just where this is all kind of playing out. Certainly there's things that could disrupt the order here. If LSU goes out and wins the SEC somehow, then that would mess things up quite a bit. But I think Tennessee's probably content to, the schedule's not that brutal going forward for them. And, they've got a chance to just kind of keep winning and wait for somebody ahead of them to lose.
Max, that was clearly a huge win for Brian Kelly and LSU the other night, but it did lead to a lot of talk about Alabama and sort of where they are. Where are you on the temperature gauge of Alabama as a program and their dynasty and Saban and all the talk about, are they finally starting to fall? Where are you with the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, I'm not gonna come on here and say the dynasty's over by any means, but I'll tell you what, guys, so last year I went to Alabama, Texas A&M. Certainly that was just a huge night and such an impressive night for A&M. But I walked away from that game feeling like Alabama's probably a year away. I felt like they'd be really set up nicely in 22. And watching them line up against Texas this year live, you just weren't that scared of them. They're just they've got, Will Anderson's terrific. Bryce Young obviously can put on the cape and go win any game. They've got some really talented players, but there's just some of those spots, whether it's the receivers, the secondary, or whatever, you just aren't really that blown away. They don't really look like one of the best teams in the country, just eyeball test. And it's going to be so interesting. Nick Saban's going to go through, I think, probably a lot of change this offseason. I'm sure the Alabama fans want to see a new OC and a new DC, and I'm sure there will be some staff changes and probably, especially if Georgia were to go win another one, gosh, that would really crank things up in terms of the urgency at Alabama. But I'm just really fascinated to see, how does Alabama respond? Do they go out and get a transfer quarterback this offseason, or do they feel like they have the guy in the building to replace Bryce Young? It's just going to be a fascinating offseason to change for Alabama, because clearly they're just maybe not totally playing to the level of their talent, or I don't know what it is, but it's just, they've just been in 4 games this year where you're just like, man, that was a pretty losable game.
Max, thank you. As always, Max Olson, theathletic.com senior college football writer, with us on Thursdays at 4 o'clock on many things with the Big 12 this weekend. The Big 12 this weekend with Texas hosting TCU in what should be a hell of a game, and then Kansas State coming in with the loss at home to UT, and how that, imagine if that game would have gone the other way, then TCU at Texas would still be a huge game for TCU, but then Texas would almost be eliminated. They're not. They've bounced back. And they've shown that resiliency that in the past at times when they've lost a game in Stillwater like they did, or when they blew a game at Tech like they did, that might send them into a 4 or 5 game tailspin. But they haven't. They have found a way, and they are right in the middle of it. And a win on Saturday, I would think they're 18 now in the college football standings. If they beat TCU, who's 4, I could see Texas moving up right outside the top 10 with a win if they do. And TCU then solidifies who they are if they win the game in Austin. This is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, the wait is over. They have trucks, SUVs on the lot right now. 2022 Sierras, Acadias, Terrains have arrived and are waiting for you to test drive today. We've also got Cadillac XT4 and XT5 SUVs available for test drive, but inventory is going fast. They have trucks waiting for you to test drive, so get to the dealership now, whether it's new or pre-owns. They've got both on the lot. When it comes to one of those vehicles, I just mentioned the GMC Sierra, some of the bells and whistles, so to speak. Best-in-class towing, strong steel bed, advanced collision avoidance, multi-pro tailgate, luxurious interior, massive touchscreens, 14 camera views, premium comfort. That's what you can find in the GMC Sierras, and also very similar options in the Acadias, Terrains, etc. All of those having arrived, as I mentioned, on the lot now over at Richard Carr. But perhaps the exact truck or SUV is not on the lot. Get on their inbound vehicle list, and you can cut in line for trucks that are in production but not quite in stock, or let them help you design the exact truck or SUV you want, and Richard Carr will have GMC prioritize it for you. So a lot of different options there, whether you're looking at new cars or looking at something that you have something specific in mind or maybe not so specific. Either way, they will help you find what you're looking for. And if you're not looking to buy new, instead you're just trying to get into something quickly, trying to get something that's got a little bit of mileage already on it, something a little bit more up your alley, well, they have plenty of pre-owned vehicles as well to check out. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection before hitting the lot. So Richard Carr is a great place to go to when you're looking at pre-owned vehicles, because they are more often to say yes than to loans than others do, as they are the people that you can count on, and they have great customer service. They love to say yes to loans when others say no. So whether pre-owned or new, check out the dealership that you've been able to count on for 23 years in Central Texas, having built a reputation as the go-to place for your automotive needs. Run by proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Make a winning drive to Genco and refinance your vehicle. Every loan can skip monthly payments for 90 days with rates as low as 3.75% APR for 48 months. Right now is the time to make a play. At Genco, we save you money by helping you pay less for your car. Every loan scores no payments for 90 days. Then have a chance to win 3 more months of no payments. Apply online today for an additional discount of 0.15% off our already low rates, subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment, and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozers and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozers. Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
Did you know Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco is open to the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp, and bar. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts, and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Mickey Spagnola with us Thursdays, DallasCowboys.com. Known Mickey since the early part of the 1990s. We had dinner in Austin, and we eventually said, hey, let's do a segment. When I was on a show in Tyler, we've been doing it ever since, nearly 30 years. Mickey, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. In fact, it almost brings me to this. That was right about the time the Cowboys were about to make a run to be the best team in the NFL and nearly a dynasty. Jimmy Johnson's book is out. I know you, I think he was on the radio earlier today. Have you read the book?
I have not. On our podcast today, you know, he's been doing the interview circuit, and Bill Jones at CBS 11 did an interview with him the other day, and he had received a book. So we've heard a few excerpts of it, and we had a kick on what he remembered and wrote in the book about Everson Walls, who's on the podcast with us. And it was pretty funny. Everson's gone, no, that's not correct. No, that's not correct. Oh, yeah, he got that right.
like a
if you remember, that was Everson's last season with the Cowboys, and Jimmy got mad at him because he was fraternizing with the enemy after they lost the game at Arizona, and he basically told him to get his something in the locker room, right? Don't be talking to the opponents after a loss. And he was just using him to kind of set a tone for what he was trying to establish with the Cowboys at that time. And actually did Everson a favor because he let him go, and then he went to the Giants and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely did.
Mickey, all the talk is about OBJ this week, I know, and who knows if that does happen. I am curious on your perspective, though, of the rhetoric from the organization around it. Usually, you know, whenever people ask, you know, questions about an impending free agent or a guy you'd like to be on the team, you get pretty stock answers like, oh, that's a good player, but, you know, that works out. This is a business. People are going to do what they're going to do. But from Jerry Jones on down to whoever you ask in the locker room, including Mike McCarthy, everybody's sending out Valentines to OBJ. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen, but it's been a while since there's been a flirtation like this that's so overt.
Well, let's look at it this way. What happens in college recruiting for high school kids? They never say anything bad about them, do they, when they're asked about it?
No.
And they're basically recruiting. You know, they're throwing bouquets at them. But it's not that they're sitting there going, oh, you got to pick me, you got to pick me, because there's a lot of hurdles that they have to get over before anything like this comes to fruition. And I think everybody forgets about that. Number one, how healthy is he? You know, like, when can he play? You know, he tore that ACL for the second time, by the way, in 2 years, 6 weeks after Michael Gallup tore his. And Michael Gallup's just getting back, and even though he got back, right, it took him taking him a couple games to get going. Well, they don't have the luxury, if they sign him, to say, well, okay, maybe you'll be ready by Thanksgiving or Christmas, not Christmas, but December to start practicing. And then it might take 3 weeks, and all of a sudden there's 2-3 weeks left in the season, and you're hoping you're in the playoffs and he can start there. So we got to start right there, because they don't know. And is he willing to work out and show them, where he's at? Number two, how much? Because last year for the Rams, he played for $1.25 million. And he's already stated in an interview that the next place he goes, he wants a long-term deal. And that he wants to go somewhere where he can play for 4 years or so and buy a house. Well, he's 30 years old now, and he's coming off 2 torn ACLs. How much would you pay the guy? And I'm sure he wants guaranteed money, right? And the Cowboys aren't the only team that might be interested in him. So that means, the ante goes up. And, with these sources out there, well, who is? It's his agent. And his agent's trying to create a hot market for his guy. So it's not a given deal that, he's like anybody in free agency. You're never going to say, well, I don't want to go with that team, or I got to go with this team. They're going to say, yeah, I'll play there. Right. So, and then the fact of, how does he fit in from a chemistry standpoint? Now, all the players are saying, oh yeah, he'll fit in just fine. We'll embrace him, and they understand his talent, but is it the same talent as the OBJ we've known after 2 torn ACLs? So I just think there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. And one of the reasons why the Cowboys are saying everything nicely is they're sitting there going, well, maybe he'll just come and play for us and we don't have to pay him an arm and a leg.
Does it also perhaps affect their decision? If he can help him, they'll sign him. But does it, that Michael Gallup himself is coming off an injury, a knee injury, and is not quite back even though he's playing again? And that you'd have 2 of them? Is that a little risky? Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a huge consideration when you're talking about guaranteed money. And they already paid, think about it this way. They've already paid Michael Gallup a nice second contract. And next year, guess who's going to want another second contract? CeeDee Lamb. Because next year will be his 4th year. And he'll be going into the last year on his rookie contract. And we know how agents deal with those, right? It's like, no, we want an extension. We're not playing on last year of the contract. So once again, they didn't think that they could afford $20 million a year for Amari Cooper, was one of the reasons why they basically gave him away. Well, now, how much are you going to pay for this guy? And is he going to be the number 2 receiver? Is he the number 3 receiver? Now, that would be great if I only had to pay him a couple million in this year. But what happens after that if I got to start guaranteeing them money? So I think the Cowboys, while they're saying nice things, I think with their salary cap money, and by the way, Dak Prescott's base salary next year, or I should say his cap hit, is like $41 million. So they're going to have some cap problems next year to start with, let alone bringing on somebody else. And David, I don't know if you remember this, but I mean, the Cowboys won a World Series. The Cowboys won a Super Bowl in '95 with Corey Fleming as their 3rd wide receiver, and he caught 11 passes that year. So do you need 3 wide receivers to catch 1,000 each? At what expense is that to the rest of your team?
Well, and Mickey, I think it'd be nice to have him because he's got maybe a different skill set overall than everybody they have. But this is a team that, by Mike McCarthy's own admission, is built, to run kind of through the other side of the ball first before the offense. So whether they get
but they need the offense to improve. Yeah. That all sounds good when your offense is averaging 19 points a game. But as I wrote before the Bears game is, at some point this offense got to kick it in gear, because the defense, what happens if they give up 30 points and you're scoring 19 a game? Well, you can't win that way. So what happened in the game? well, the offense kicked it in gear. Was it against the Bears because it was the Bears, or they found something with Dak back and they scored 42 points? But they needed to score all those points to win. So I understand playing this game through the defense. But until that defense shows me that they can consistently stop the run, which they gave up 240 yards to the Bears rushing, I'm thinking I got to get this offense going, and I better be scoring 25 to 30 points a game the rest of the way in if I think I'm going to improve on my 6-2 record.
Mickey, they have Green Bay coming up this weekend. The Packers are a shell of themselves. No question, Aaron Rodgers looks and is playing miserable. I saw the throwback to an offensive lineman, and he was about 8 yards short on the throw. That never would have been the case before. Do you feel like he's just in the, oh, what the hell type, damn it, let's let this thing ride out? Or do you feel like he's still dangerous because it's Green Bay, it's in Green Bay, and God knows he seems like he always beats the Cowboys?
Yeah, that's the part I worry about. You can tell me they lost 5 straight. You can tell me that, he finished that game against the Lions with a 53 quarterback rating, and, he had all those interceptions. But to me, I still think, well, that guy's Aaron Rodgers, right? And the Cowboys have not played well historically. And I know these are different teams, but they haven't played historically well at Lambeau Field. They're 2-9. And Dak's got the second win, his rookie year. He went up there and won. And the other one belonged to Tony Romo in 2008. 2008 was the first time they've won at Lambeau Field since they came in the league in 1960. Now, that has nothing to do with these teams. It's different era, different teams. I get it. But that's what somewhat concerns me, going into this game. And the Cowboys' problem defensively has been stopping the run. Well, in 6 and 8 games, teams have rushed for at least, I think it's 94 yards, and 3 times at least 199. So yeah, they got to be better at the run, and that's one thing the Packers have done. They've run the ball well. They lost that game, but they had 384 yards total offense. So they were moving the ball. They just didn't score. I think everybody says, what do the Cowboys got to do the second half of the season? Well, the run defense has to improve, and the offense has to show a certain amount of consistency that this game against the Bears wasn't the blue moon.
How much do you think we'll see Jonathan Hankins more this week because of that, which you said?
Yeah, I think you'll see quite a bit more. And he ended up, this is off the top of my head, but I think he had like 30 snaps that last game, and he had 3 tackles. So it's not like he's coming off his couch because he was playing for the Raiders. They decided that they wanted a different style defense, so they went with some younger guys. Well, if he can make his mark in the middle of a defense as a kind of veteran guy that plays, 25, 30 snaps a game and plugs up the middle, that'll help him out greatly. And then they can take him out on passing downs, and as Mike McCarthy has said this repeatedly. He said, if I was an opposing offensive coordinator and I had to go up against the Cowboys defense, I want to run the ball because I don't want to have to face their pass rush. And so if I can run the ball and create 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, whatever, then I got a chance. But if I can't run and they get me into 3rd and 8 or 2nd and 10, I'm in trouble. So they've got to improve that run defense and then show some consistency, scoring points, moving the football themselves. But, yeah, I think Hankins helps greatly. Now, in this game, it looks like they're still going to be without Anthony Barr. He strained a hamstring 2 minutes to go in the first half against the Bears. He hasn't practiced yet this week, and the best Mike McCarthy said about him is he'll be limited at best. So that means to me, this is kind of dicey. And the guy that's playing behind him, by the way, is Damone Clark, their 5th round draft choice out of LSU, who was returning for the first game after he had his vertebrae fusion surgery in his neck after the combine. And he played pretty well considering he had no off season, no training camp, no preseason, and hadn't played a down of football since LSU's last game in the 2021 season. So he was the next guy up, and he ended up with 6 tackles in the game. I think it was 1 solo and 5 assisted. But he would take Anthony Barr's place. So from an injury standpoint, I think he's probably the one that I'm sure of that's not going to play, and then we'll see where Zeke is by the end of the week.
Mickey, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Cowboys and Packers in Lambeau on Sunday. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. And if you don't know that Jimmy Johnson does have a book coming out, and it's called Swagger, being released, I think, at some point during this month. The former Cowboys head coach, and of course had the great run at Miami, then went to Miami Dolphins after the Cowboys, and it didn't quite work out. Now a part of Fox Sports and the studio show. Craig Smoak's Off the Radar is next on 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Carol, Ashley, Cheyenne, they run it. It's in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco, and what they have are cigars and coffee beans and also CBD products. Let's start with that. Vita Dreams, a gummy that you can eat, chew on it later in the night. As you, let's say you're 30 minutes or an hour away from wanting to go to bed, and you are at times struggling with either stuff in your head or you just don't fall asleep and you kind of toss and turn and you lose 30 minutes or an hour of time of sleep, legitimate sleep. Vita Dreams can help you with that. You're out and you wake up and you're like, man, unless you're like me in the middle of the night because I'm an old man, I have to get up once. Also, they have tremendous brands of cigars. Ashton, CAO, Romeo and Julieta, Artur for one thing, Rocky Patel, Padron, Cohiba. In 1964, Padron, the #1 cigar in the world. They have it inside of their 48-foot walk-in humidor. And they have coffee beans if you want. One of their most popular, I guess you could say, flavors is Cowboy. In fact, if you want, they'll grind the beans right there for you, the coffee beans, or you can take them home if that's what you want to do yourself. It's Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Tell them I sent you. Not a bad Christmas gift, although a little bit early for that, for later on down the road. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center, Valley Mills in Waco.
I'm going to tell you a tale of 2 companies founded 25 years ago. The first, Pickup Outfitters, started as a little shop on Lake Erie Drive by a local company selling the truck bumpers they were making in Waco. Then, 6 years ago, new ownership took up the cause of battling vehicle nudity, vowing to fight until there were no more naked trucks in Central Texas. And so far, they estimate they've outfitted more than 40,000 trucks at Pickup Outfitters. Now, the second company's story is not as impressive. They too started 25 years ago, but didn't have the vision of Pickup Outfitters, and to date, they have not outfitted one single naked truck in 25 years. So we'll celebrate the 25th anniversary of Pickup Outfitters with money-saving specials and valuable prizes. The second company will support them too by giving away 25 one-month subscriptions to their online service called Netflix. Save and win the Pickup Outfitters 25th anniversary celebration through Thanksgiving. Details online at createacommotion.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302. Do
you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome. It's Off the Radar here on 365 Sports. Segments at around 4:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays to take a look at a grab bag of headlines, and when there is, something of interest that's well off the radar of what we normally talk about, I'll, bring it in, but not, a big hot UFC story that I saw at the moment, not like some big boxing match that I can think of. There's not a lot of off the radar. I think a lot of the big stories are very much on the radar, but fortunately, they are, not something that we've necessarily dove down in and talked about all that much, which leads me to something we have talked about, but there is a new development, and I feel like this is just an ongoing saga that we're going to be, talking about for a while, but hopefully for Washington fans like myself, there will be an end to this eventually. But the Attorney General for Washington has filed a civil lawsuit per ESPN against the Washington Commanders, team owner Daniel Snyder, the National Football League, and Commissioner Roger Goodell for allegedly colluding to deceive fans and district residents about the league's investigation into the team's toxic workplace culture and allegations of sexual assault in an effort to maintain a strong fan base and to increase profits. Attorney General Carl Racine said his office was suing because, quote, "you can't lie to D.C. residents in order to protect your image and profits and get away with it, no matter who you are, even if you're the National Football League." So they've opened an investigation, and it's been open since last fall. Apparently, they're going to subpoena Snyder. At least that's what they say they plan on doing. They're also going to subpoena former employees, and they're looking for accountability and transparency as this moves its way through the court system. We will issue subpoenas. We will seek testimony under oath, Racine said, again, per the ESPN article. He alleged the league and team promised an independent investigation, but instead, Snyder waged an interference campaign to cover up years of harassment. The NFL allowed him to do it, and in doing so, betrayed fans' trust by enabling Snyder to have a say at the end of the investigation that was, obviously looking at him as well as his franchise, the Washington Commanders. So it wasn't any talk about damage or anything like that, but, I don't I'm not Mr. Legalese. I don't know what all this is going to eventually mean or not, but it's just like this is just not going away. I mean, Daniel Snyder, I know, has now looked into the potential of selling the team and whatnot, but this is just an S show of the highest order, and it's just growing even more so with each passing day.
Well, the NFL, now that they're involved in this lawsuit, whatever support he had inside that building is waning precipitously, because there's no way that that they're going to stand by him when he's now gotten him pulled into this lawsuit, when, they were trying to help him out before, but he's just handled things so poorly. Eventually, the chickens do come home to roost, and they have here for Dan Snyder. I don't see how this ends any way other than him selling the team now, but maybe even being forced to sell faster than he wanted to. There was a weird story. I saw a bunch of Washington media people tweeting about it yesterday, including some guys like Chris Russell we've had on the show, where a bunch of people who haven't held season tickets in years, maybe since 2008 or something, were getting letters saying they had a balance in their account that the team had to pay them back. And they're like, what do you, sure, but how did you not tell me about this 14 years ago? So that kind of leads into the fact that they're going to start looking through the books for the Commanders, which is one of the things they've been accused of having two sets of books. And they need to get that money off of their books real quick and call it clerical error.
Yeah, I mean, they did a giveaway and bounced the check a month or so ago. And so, I know you got different accounts and all that, but the money piece of this is really, that's where it all could get really, serious. And that's where, maybe Daniel Snyder will be facing the most trouble, because, all the allegations, they certainly dented the image, but they weren't going to force him out of being in the position that he's in. But you start talking about some of the other, potential criminal actions that, perhaps he was involved in. Certainly there are a lot of allegations. There's been a lot of denials. Lawyers representing the former employees who really got the ball rolling said that, again, the Commanders and NFL were deceptive. They engaged in lies and again, were concealing decades of harassment and abuse, and that the suit validates the experiences of the men and women who came forward to talk about the level of misconduct. So they're looking to, potentially sell the team, the Snyders, that is, and we'll see how that goes for them. But another lawsuit now, and more of an S show in Washington, D.C. when it comes to the Commanders franchise. So we'll see where that goes. The NFL, for what it's worth, just vehemently denied. They're like, we'd have nothing to do with this, and it's ridiculous that you're including us. But they'll have to go argue that in court or however that ultimately gets done. So, fun time to be a Commanders fan. I saw a picture. It was did you see that Passion of the Christ meme? When it came to the Commanders, there's a picture from Mel Gibson was filming Passion of the Christ, and John Caviezel, who played Jesus Christ, they obviously go through the whole ordeal, and he's sitting there in the director's chair in between takes, and he's just covered in blood because he's got the crown of thorns on and white robe, and I guess it's after they've been filming, all of the most gory, gruesome parts of the story, and there's director Mel Gibson completely clean and, has been behind the camera, and he's directing him. So here's Mel in a director's chair, and there's this bloody Jesus Christ looking man next to him, and somebody put the meme of basically this is Commanders fans versus every NFL franchise, or this is Commanders fans listening to every other NFL fan base talk about their team and their problems and all of that. And it was a very accurate representation, because if you're a Commanders fan like I am, you feel like, not like what Jesus went through by any means, but man, you just feel like you've been through it all at this point as a fan, and none of it's really been good for basically all of Snyder's ownership era.
Oh, your team missed the playoffs 2 years
Exactly.
in a row?
Yes.
The other, last year, Jalen Hurts was running to the locker room, and a whole part of the stadium fell on top of him that was tied together with a zip tie. So, talk to me when you have real problems. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, your guy had a second ACL tear. Oh, well, we just got our third lawsuit from former employees. It's one thing after another.
It is when you have the names like Kevin Durant and RG3 and Matthew McConaughey, who's a longtime Washington fan, and others, and Bezos, and they're gonna be sold. It's just a matter of how much can Snyder, and he can make it even messy. But
Red Sox owner is in that too.
Okay,
John
good.
Henry, yeah.
It is a mess. It's just a matter of time. It was almost like the name of the Redskins. It was a matter of time. You could see that building and eventually it did. And now this is just a matter of time.
Yeah, and poor timing on my part to talk about torn ACLs, quite honestly. Maybe it's because I was reading this story earlier, but basically the gist of that message was to say that, like, yeah, little things happen, like a guy gets hurt or your team loses a game or you miss the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Commanders franchise is dealing with. They'd love for those to be the problems. It's like, oh, we missed the playoffs. It's like the playoffs are not even a thought in their brains or anywhere close to that. So that's what I was getting at. But I, did mention torn ACLs, and unfortunately, that does lead me to this story and Big 12 tie-in, a former TCU Horned Frog, but Jason Verrett, 49ers cornerback, coming back from a torn ACL in his right knee. Well, word comes out that after he gets activated from the physically unable to perform list last month, he suffered a torn Achilles tendon in 49ers practice. That was announced today. He will be out for the rest of the year. So just about to make his comeback from a torn ACL, he gets hurt. And according to Kyle Shanahan, he had just earlier been talking about like how optimistic they were, and this injury happens like less than 2 hours after those comments. So it's just been
so star-crossed.
Brutal for this young man.
He's a hell of a player at TCU now, man.
First-round pick of the Chargers back in 2014, tore his right ACL on September 12th, 2021, had only played in 6 games over 4 seasons because of a torn ACL in 2016, had knee issues in 2017. Okay, so they did this backwards. Let me do it this way. He had played in just 6 games in a 4-season span from 2016 through 2019 because of a torn ACL that he suffered in 2016. So the torn ACL in 2016, knee issues in 2017, torn right Achilles in 2018. That lasted into 2019. And here we are again, and now it's 2022, and he's got a torn Achilles tendon. So, great story, a lot of adversity that he's overcome. But, man, at what point is it just enough already? And you got to wonder that with Jason Verrett, because people were wondering about that previously, and you really got to be wondering about it now.
Did he have issues in college?
I don't really remember him having issues in college. He was a terrific player for TCU. I don't remember, though, if there was it's been so long ago. That's almost 10 years ago now. I don't really remember that.
Yeah, it's just like that's the draft. I mean, you have a guy like that, maybe never had any issues or don't know. Maybe there was some – and then, he's a hell of a player, and you don't ever get to use him.
I want to say he didn't.
Hurt.
I want to say he didn't because it seemed like he played quite a bit while in college, but I really don't recall if there was scuttlebutt about that. But obviously in the NFL, it's just he's had havoc wreaked on his career because of all of these issues.
Would he have been going head-to-head at times with Corey Coleman?
Yeah.
They had some, my God, cat fight back and forth, if I remember. Verrett was really good. Coleman was great, too. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, so brutal news there for Jason Verrett. And just wish him all the best of luck in overcoming yet another injury. Baseball season is over. The Astros are World Series champs, and so now it's time to start getting into retooling rosters and free agency and all those different types of things. And been some moves going on, but really the one that I wanted to highlight was from the World Series champions. Justin Verlander has declined a $25 million option and is now officially a free agent as of today. Helped to win a World Series title just 5 days ago at this point, and that was big time for Verlander in his career. He made a lot of World Series appearances, but finally got his first win, and they really made a big deal out of that and how important that was to him. So 39 years old, probably going to be the Cy Young Award winner, and that would be number 3 for him if he does, in fact, get it. Won his first World Series game in 9 starts when he got the W in Game 5 versus the Phillies, and, of course, the Astros go on to win that series. So he says that the last time he was a free agent, it all happened really quick. He didn't go on the full meal, get wooed in every city, and he kind of had to do it really fast. And so he made a pretty brief decision. That leads me to believe that maybe he'll kind of take his time with this one. Doesn't feel pressure to sign, as a season starting.
Everything he's ever wanted, career-wise at this point. So now it's about cashing the last big check, which can make sure it's as big as it can be. And it can't be as big as it can be if you don't, even if you wind up going back to the Astros because that's what you want to do, you're going to get more money out of them just because you went to visit the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers and everybody else and, had a couple of nice steak dinners with a bone-in ribeye.
Why would Houston sign him again?
Because he's really freaking good.
They have 7 starting pieces.
Well, I mean, that's why they probably won't.
That's why they won't.
But why would they? Because he's Justin freaking Verlander.
But
I don't know. My point was is that they don't. Listen. I would sign him. I think he's amazing. He's a stud. He's also older, and
so they won't.
Yeah, and so.
But I do think that he has enough juice there to where he could call up and go, "Here's my number," and they might go, "Okay," but because they're flying so high right now.
You think he would do a deal where he took like half of what he's probably valued?
If he doesn't get money elsewhere, I mean that's the thing. Is like he can circle
always
back.
About the money. Yep.
Well, yeah, he's 39, and this is his last big contract. So I mean, yeah, and like I just got done saying, he didn't have a free agent tour and the big wine and dine and all of that. He just kind of had to sign with the Astros and got back to business, and looks like he'll maybe take some advantage of having the time and see what kind of a deal he can get, because there's a lot of stupid owners out there that Justin Verlander, that'll sell tickets, let's bring him on, and the Astros can just sit back, and if he doesn't get what he's looking for, give him a little sweetheart deal, and
he could
or not need him at all, because like you said, they got a bunch of pitchers.
He's going to get a max 3-year contract. Verlander is. But, I mean, there's a good likelihood he gets like one of those 1-year, $42 million deals too. And so that's going to be huge, and he can play on those until he's ineffective, which right now he's clearly not. There's older guy like Max Scherzer, older guy, got a bunch of money last year in a multi-year deal from the Mets. So, Verlander, maybe not the top. I think he's probably the second or third pitcher on the market. I guess DeGrom would be the top one that's on the market, but we'll see, how that all shakes out. And he could be a hired gun for somebody. I really just hope it's not in the Bronx.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the deal. I mean, to be flat out, he is not the Justin Verlander of old. He is 39 years old, and to your point, why would they sign him? He's also had Tommy John here recently. He missed a lot of time over the last couple of seasons. So, that played into obviously contract situations, and now he's on the other side of that, and he's won a World Series and won his, World Series start and all that, but he is, he has been injured in recent history. He is pushing 40. So, yeah, what does the market look like for Justin Verlander? I don't know, but I know people will be interested, and he declined a $25 million option, so he clearly feels good about what he could probably get out on the open market. So that will be something to watch with Verlander and wherever he ends up. Elsewhere, let's see. I thought I had a couple more notes here. Tonight in the NFL, got 7:15 kickoff here Central Time. The Amazon Thursday Showcase. Man, they just keep delivering the big matchups. 4-5 Atlanta at 2-7 Carolina, baby. That'll get me signed up to Prime to watch that showdown in the NFC South. Falcons and Panthers, they combined 7-12 on the year, these two division rivals. So that tonight on Amazon Prime. Any interest in that one?
No,
I'll watch some of it, I'm sure, but that's just not a sexy game.
No, just talking to Amanda, she goes, "What's the NFL game tonight? Are we going to watch it?" I said, does Panthers Falcons do anything for you?
No.
And she said, "No, absolutely not." So I said, "All right, well, let's find a movie or a documentary or something
on
to watch."
Netflix.
Yeah. They just have had some bad fortune as far as the games being really hyped up and high-profile teams, big matchup feels on Thursday nights.
Yeah, by the way, the bad Thursday night game 3 weeks ago is why I watched The Watcher on Netflix, because why not?
Yeah, why the heck not? Also elsewhere, one final couple things here. You didn't mention this earlier, but college football doubleheader, both games starting here at 6:30 Central Time. Tulsa at Memphis on ESPN, Georgia Southern at Louisiana on ESPN2. So those could be some alternative viewing options if you are not wanting to watch the NFL game tonight. But also, did you guys mention the whole Conference USA thing at all yesterday?
No, we did not.
Okay, well, you're talking about Maction and all of that. I mean, that's something that college football diehards are quite familiar with. But saw some differing opinions on how good or not this is, but Conference USA announced a new media rights deal with ESPN and CBS, and they are basically taking on Maction in a way, as they have agreed in this new deal to play midweek football games throughout the month of October in an effort to increase their visibility and in an effort to build the Conference USA brand. Commissioner Judy McLeod
said they looked at had an example to look at in ratings from the MAC and how they have operated on weeknights, and said that this was a membership decision, and they wouldn't have done it if everybody wasn't bought in and committed to it. So the MAC was an inspiration for Conference USA to now start playing some midweek games that will occur throughout the month of October, a 5-year deal. It will start next season. And obviously there's been a lot of turnover in that conference, as there have been with others, but ultimately it's going to shake out and be a 10-team conference. UTEP, Florida, FIU, Middle Tennessee, La Tech, Western Kentucky will all be holdovers, and then you'll have Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, Sam Houston State joining next year, and then Kennesaw State will join in 2024. So there's a lot to keep track of, a lot of moving parts, a bunch of new schools joining next year, a bunch of holdovers, but that will start, and you will start seeing Conference USA games on weeknights beginning in October of next year.
And Conference USA fans will start asking the question, honey, do we have CBS Sports Network? To which the answer is probably.
No, it'll be ESPN will have some of those games. They'll have 8 games per year, so you won't need a fully, it was like you'll have to have Amazon Prime to get all the games or anything like that. But yeah, there will be some looking around.
CBS Sports HQ or whatever it is, their cable sports station is getting some of those Conference US games too.
Yeah.
So
ESPN's getting 8 games, and then I would imagine they'll get all the rest of them. Yes. Yeah. So they'll be involved, no doubt, and there will be some of those questions, I'm sure, for fans of those teams. But that's interesting, and that's somebody trying to be different, and it's not totally new. Obviously, the MAC's been doing something like that, but Conference USA action, that's not as catchy. That doesn't work as well. But those are a few things off the radar.
And that's glad that I brought up the MAC games on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and Toledo and Ohio are leading those various divisions. Tonight against Tulsa at Memphis, Georgia Southern at Louisiana, right? That you mentioned that. Also, a future Big 12 team is playing tomorrow night. Cincinnati at home against a pretty good East Carolina team. That game is on ESPN tomorrow night. USC plays tomorrow night, a top 10 team against Colorado. When we come back.
That'll be.
No guests, but we will dissect and analyze and maybe have an opinion or two on the Rose Bowl. The crotchety old woman out west and how it could still try to tie up the veins of the college football playoff. That is next on 365 Sports. The city of Woodway with a lot of different events that they've had this year. Nothing right now currently on the radar, but stay tuned. I'll get some information for you on what might be happening during the holidays, which is, 2 weeks from today, Thanksgiving Day. They have the Carleen Bright Arboretum, 16 acres, lovely botanical gardens. The Pavilion Event Center at the Carleen Bright Arboretum, a private event rental space with floor-to-ceiling accordion windows overlooking the beautiful grounds. The original white chapel located at the entrance. They have beautiful landscaping, but let's talk about inside those doors and windows and walls. You can host whatever you want. Could be a large business meeting, could be a fundraiser. I've been there for one of those. LaDainian Tomlinson was in town, and they raised a ton of money with him. There's also weddings, rehearsal dinners, just big events, maybe even family reunions if you want. They do it, and you could also bring in an outside caterer. There's none of this, you have to be one of these. Although that's fine, businesses have the right to do that host events. They don't. You can bring in an outside caterer. And it's just a wonderful scenery. Great to be at an event there. Maybe even if there's a symposium, a guest speaker, any of that works. DiscoverWoodway.com.
The wait is over. Richard Carr GMC has the trucks. 2022 GMC Sierras have hit the lot, and they're waiting for you. Sierra trucks offer best-in-class towing, strong steel beds, multi-pro tailgates, and advanced features that make driving a Sierra second to none. Trucks are waiting for you to test drive now. So call now, log in now, or get here now and drive your next truck today at Richard Carr.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you. TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal, seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must-like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select, Choice, and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for tailgating, barbecue cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Chapin turns around and hands it off to Quaylen Jones. He's got room into the end zone. Quaylen Jones!
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. Jennifer Smoak is not on today. She had some office business stuff to do, and so she's not until next week. And her team was beaten pretty soundly, not badly. She's 4-5 on the year, but still apparently in third place. Josh Allen had an average game, and now Josh Allen's out this week, or not? No, I don't know. We'll see. But her other quarterback is on bye week, Joe Burrow. So you need to be in touch with her. All right. So Heather Dinich had a story on ESPN.com about the Rose Bowl and the college football playoff, trying to expand to 12 teams as early as 2024. Everyone involved, of course, doing what they can. Must be unanimous, agreeing to change the terms. The college football playoff, though, and the Rose Bowl are negotiating the historic game's role in the new model. A Rose Bowl official telling ESPN in an exclusive interview. Laura Farber, the chairman of the Rose Bowl Management Committee, said the game would like to maintain the exclusive broadcast window at January 1st at 2 o'clock Pacific time in years that it would also host the college football semifinal. But the Rose Bowl has not heard yet back from the college football playoff, at least for a couple of weeks. Centers around one of the most lucrative television windows in college sports, and while it's not the only issue surrounding the expansion, it's one of the most complicated. The Rose Bowl is willing to temporarily concede its relationship with the Big Ten and Pac-12 to host a quarterfinal game in 24-25, and eventually more. Here's the bottom line. The Rose Bowl is grumpy. They're the ones that are like, when you have a get-together, they're the person in the room that, like, brings everybody down.
Well, and look, it all centers around the Tournament of Roses parade, which they believe is apparently crucial to the planet's survival, and that it can only be the game, the parade and the game. But I believe what the college football playoffs point is, and it took a parade to get me to agree with Bill Hancock on something, is why does the game and the parade have to be on the same day? You can do the parade on January 1st until the cows come home. It does not matter. If the game winds up there, great. If the broadcast window works out, great. But things are different now. And because you've done it this way for 103 years is the freaking problem. That's college football's problem. It's always been done this way. That's what they are finally trying to get through. And it is going to be a slog of breaking years and years and years of, well, we always did it this way. It seemed to work out. Well, it's not working that way anymore. Fans want something different. Be part of the playoff or don't be part of the playoff Rose Bowl. But dear God, don't let it happen because you have to have your parade and the game on the same day. That's the only thing. And she got through the statement almost all the way by making some good points. Look, we just need a little flexibility every now and again. Okay, let's work with every bowl game and find the flexibility and, kind of like trading days off at work. You can have Wednesday, I'll take Thursday kind of a thing. I think that's the point she was trying to make until she got to what's really driving this is a freaking row of decorated traffic. That's what's going on. That's why they're doing this. And I get that it's a beautiful event and it's one of a kind, blah, blah, blah. You can still have it on January 1st, even if the game isn't there. They are not mutually exclusive. You can do it, Rose Bowl. Just move on.
You want to try to follow that up, Craig?
I mean, yeah, I can, but it's kind of confusing. So the deal is like they just want to be able to play in the daytime when it's a semifinal?
They want to play on January 1st or January 2nd, depending on, because if it falls on a Sunday, then it'd be on January 2nd. And they want to be able to play every single time in the 2 p.m. Pacific window because they'll say it's about the eyeballs on the game, but it's not. The 2 p.m. Pacific window allows them to end the parade at noon or 11 o'clock and then go right into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I can see their point of view because of tradition and all of that, but I mean, it's hard for me to not start laughing when I hear college officials talking about traditions and whatnot these days because they basically just said F tradition, in terms of realignment and, the playoff is bucking tradition, quite frankly. The tradition has been changed when it's suddenly needed to be changed, so I don't think that that's something that prevents you from possibly moving. It's just simply tradition because they've proven time and again that can be changed and still, have some remnants. Like, I don't think the Rose Bowl parade matters less if this doesn't happen, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I know the Rose Bowl people think that it does, but for someone like me who's got no skin in the game, this makes zero difference to me. Zero difference to me. So I would imagine people on the West Coast who grew up with the Rose Bowl and granddaddy of them all and all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, it was always a big game. It was always something that I paid attention to, but it was never like this personal, like this is the greatest thing of all time like it is for some people. So I can't relate to that. And therefore, this isn't a big deal to me at all. Like, if they want to play at night at the Rose Bowl, I don't care. Like, the setting's still the setting. It's still L.A. or, L.A., generally L.A., what have you. Or Pasadena, I guess, is technically what it is. But it's still all those things to me. Like, I wouldn't even have noticed if there was this big talk about it. And I know that sounds crazy because it's always been a certain way. But I honestly it's never been that important to me. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I understand where they're coming from. I also understand why there's some people that roll their eyes and like, are you kidding me? Like, you have to have your parade and you're set up in your way and it can't be any different. I understand that part of it too. I can't imagine this parade's going to clog traffic so much that a college football playoff expansion can't get done simply for this reason. I mean, that would be absurd. And I think even the Rose Bowl people would have to acknowledge that if we got down the tracks that far with this, of like, if this was the reason why they weren't able to do it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I do think that it's a little bit overblown, but I've also never been to a game there. So I'm sure people will say, well, you don't understand if you haven't been there. You weren't there to watch Vince Young run over USC. Like, you don't get it. But the Sunsets look great on TV. It's a cool venue. I'd love to check out a game there, but I'm not Mr. Rose Bowl, so she's barking up the wrong tree as far as me.
Hold on, Paul. The Matt Baker tweet. You'll love this. Matt Baker, we've had him on Tampa Bay Times. Look, because 100-something years ago, someone decided to have a parade about flowers, we can't have a 12-team playoff in 2024. That's just flawless, irrefutable logic that makes perfect sense to everyone.
Exactly. Matt, we are simpatico. I mean, that's true. You cannot – the thing is, I don't understand, because the game and the parade being tied together, nobody's canceling the parade. You're just ending it, and the people are going home. As a matter of fact, there's probably less intersection in the audience for the game, actually, like the physical people there, than the Rose Bowl even realizes. And it's just not worth it to hold this thing up and constantly negotiate. And most of the time, I would bet that they would get that window. Now, the other problem with it is that bowl games might move. We'll talk about it in the top 5 a little bit. January 1st is going to be obviously a big goal date for college football, but they might get this worked out, and then the big days might be January 8th. The calendar is going to be tough to navigate. There's a lot of things that have to change in the calendar for all of this to work and for the other bowl games to fit in and all that. So I think, and again, I don't want to spoil the top 5, but, the Rose Bowl needs to just be way more malleable than they have been.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that they're not being totally closed-minded. I mean, they've obviously opened up the idea of not having like the permanent Big Ten, Pac-12, fixture, which you're going to have to find a way around that if you're going to be a part of this expanded playoff somehow. But yeah, it's just, I mean, like I said, I'm not the audience for this. I didn't grow up watching the Rose Bowl like it was the greatest thing of all time. It was a really great bowl game in a cool location that was one of a bunch of other great games that I always watched. I know it's different, though, for some people. I saw some tweets, I think it was like yesterday or something, about how it should be the permanent fixture for the national championship game. Have it set up to where it's truly the granddaddy of them all, and it's the last, part of the road on the way to a national title. I definitely don't agree with that. I think it needs to move around the country, but we'll see how much this becomes a problem, I guess, as time goes on. But something's got to have to give on both sides to make something happen, obviously. And I don't think that if a game time changes, it ruins the 100 years of the Rose Bowl's history. I'm sorry. I think that's kind of silly to think that a game time affects it that much. Because, I mean, if the game time is that important, how, I don't know. I kind of question why that has to be that way to get that same sort of feeling from it. But again, it's not my deal, so I don't know.
The reason this is even an issue, and that
you just hate parades.
Yes, I do. I don't like them. I think they're silly and a big waste of time and money.
No, don't go into all that.
I do think this for the Rose Bowl. A lot of people the one card they have in their corner is they've got a signed contract right now. So the CFP could, if they didn't have that contract, be like, okay, Rose Bowl. Look, guess who else college football screwed for years and years? And it was mostly the Cotton Bowl's fault, but they screwed the Cotton Bowl for years and years. They, said, all right, well, you're not a big-time game anymore, and we're going to move on, and these are the 4 games, and you're at best the 5th best one.
Until this guy built this massive
exactly.
structure,
But it was a lot of that had to do with the Cotton Bowl's fault, but, somehow the Fiesta Bowl cut in line on the Cotton Bowl. And yeah, exactly. But the Cotton Bowl wasn't doing those things. So they've left people behind before. And if there's enough power, they could. But, again, they've got a contract.
Dude, if Alabama and Georgia are playing or whatever matchup you want to throw out there, it doesn't matter if it's in freaking Pasadena or if it's in New Orleans.
Or
People
El
are going to
Paso.
be watching. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, they're not the highlight. They might be for some people who grew up watching it and going to the parade and all of that out on the West Coast. But it makes no difference to me where Clemson lines up against LSU. And you know
Just
what I
play
mean?
the
Like,
game.
just play the damn game.
Yep.
If it's got a pretty sunset, cool. If it doesn't matter. If it's got a dome on it, I don't care. Like, I just want to see the teams. I'm not watching the pageantry is a huge part of college football. Don't get me wrong. And the Rose Bowl has as good a pageantry as anybody, but not to the point of where, like, it delays an expanded playoff or it should be able to, be the roadblock to college football moving forward. I think that part of it, that kind of, it's not snobbery, but kind of this elitist sort of feel around the Rose Bowl and its importance, I do think is a bit stuffy and silly, and it matters to some folks, but I definitely don't think it matters to the majority of folks. If you were to move that thing and put the same two teams there, some people are going to miss that parade and the timing of it, I suppose, but most people are not even going to probably notice.
Let me read her quote from Farber. For anyone to say the Rose Bowl game is the sole reason right now that expansion may not happen before the current cycle runs out is categorically wrong. Yes, we need to work through the details of our contract and our separate broadcast agreement, but we remain open to that. That's what she says. There are also issues not specific to our game that need to be resolved, including the NFL schedule, revenue sharing, and on-campus schedules. What we're asking for is a 3-hour window every 3 years. If you think about that in the big picture, it's not a big ask. January 1st is an important part of the Tournament of Roses New Year's celebration. We believe that fans will expect to see that and want to see that. Go ahead and have it. January 1st, do your thing. You start out with the Rose Parade, and on the same day, you have the Rose Bowl game to celebrate the start of the new year. It's not only tradition, it's part of the brand, who we are, and what has been built since 1903.
Okay.
1903.
Also, we want to keep and integrate the granddaddy of them all into a postseason model. The game can still be the granddaddy of them all, no matter when you play it. But it doesn't have to be connected to the Rose Parade. And I'm not trying to be anti-Chamber of Commerce or whatever it is. You sometimes just have to understand change.
Hey, all she had to do before she got to the parade was stop.
Yep.
Because she was right.
Yep.
They're not the only reason that it could or could not happen, but you're the stupidest reason that it could or could not happen. So just be a little more flexible and realize that those two things don't have to be together. The game could be on January 3rd. You can still do the parade. People can go home earlier. Way to go.
And you could still have, and it is, the color, the pageantry, the tradition is incredible. So, okay, enough of that, right?
Yeah, I said a lot about something I really do not care about at all. I mean, I really don't. And I said a lot about it because we're a talk show. But if that thing were played on January 6th, I mean, it would not change my life in any way, shape, or form. And that's just me, though. I understand it's different for other people. Not trying to be disrespectful, but that's where it matters not to me.
Yeah, it's weird. And then again, I'm sure there are maybe some of you watching or that there's history there, your family, whatever. We get it. There's a lot of different traditions that people do dig their heels in because it's important to them. It may not be important to us, but it is to many, many other people that just – and I remember – so, Paul, speaking of parades, the Thanksgiving, you got Macy's and all that coming up.
I'm not a big fan of that one. I don't know if that's where it's not where it started for me, but yeah, Oh, look, there's Tweety Bird. It's big. Don't get it. I don't get it. I never will.
Okay.
I'm not anti-parade. I think they're fine. I think they're cool for families and kids. Paul, you'll be at some here in the future, I'm sure.
I promise you. I promise you I will not.
It's not your decision.
Oh, this one is. So I've been one. I wasn't even there. I mean, I got home
You were in
later,
the house.
But I've been to one parade since I was 14 years old, and that was this one down here when Baylor won the men's national championship. That was the only one I've been to, and that's it. And it was less paradey. It was more just old basketball players and new basketball players walking in the street.
Okay.
No, I promise you I won't. I'm not doing it. I think they're stupid. My parents used to make me go to them and be in them all the time.
Yeah, but you also
So there's the root of it all. There's the root that we've been trying to figure out all these years.
No, I'll tell the whole story. They used to make me be in every stupid, pointless,
there we go.
waste of time parade. It's a waste of civic dollars. There's nothing good that comes out of it. Oh, I had to be in one here for the stupid Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo and throw candies to a bunch of simpletons out the window. That was a horrible day. Yeah, I wanted to drive the van right off that bridge there. I would have rather done that. Parades are so pointless. I don't get it. I've been to Mardi Gras, and I avoided the parade. I went
you were in the middle of all that.
I went to New Orleans during Mardi Gras and walked around.
You came out of one of those places, and
yeah, I mean, I don't remember much. I know I avoided the parade, but yeah, I don't do them. I don't get it. Just hate them.
You are absolutely
floats. Who cares?
You're absolutely going to lose this argument.
I won't. She's on board with me.
Okay. Wait till you have the kiddos. All right, we'll come back and do a little bit more. Look at the games this weekend in the Big 12. We'll have our predictions and all that in the top 25 and much more. That's tomorrow. Levi Caraway has sent us a bunch of games, and I haven't even looked at them. I need to do that. It's 5:28, and this is 365 Sports.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season, and BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneeredboys.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Howdy, Chet Garner here, professional guide, searching for bears in the wild. But not just any bears, oh no, a particular kind. With hundreds of thousands roaming freely in the wild, yet still hard to spot unless you know the signs. There they are, Baylor bears. If you're a bear enthusiast or even a bear yourself, join me and let's find some bears in the wild.
Join the expedition at baylor.edu/alumni.
Looking for a great job with great pay and awesome benefits? Genco FCU is hiring. As a longtime Waco employer, Genco focuses on what matters most in our employees' lives, like pay incentives, bonuses, benefits, 401k plans, paid time off, advancement opportunities, medical, prescription, dental, and vision insurance, as well as short and long-term disability. Come join our incredible team today and make Genco your career that will work for you. Apply at gencofcu.org or at any branch location.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Want more updates during the day? Follow 365 Sports YT on Twitter.
By the way, Waco Custom Marketplace, if in fact you're interested, holiday specials they have coming up from half spiral hams, pit hams, bone-in hams, raw turkeys, 14 to 16 pounds, whole smoked turkeys, mini pit hams. Paul, which of those is your favorite? I'm not a big ham guy.
I prefer, I don't know, I like a good smoked turkey. I mean, that's really good. I mean, that's, you know, I'm
like
a
a
fan
smoker
of both.
or
yeah.
Okay. Craig?
Yeah, a smoked turkey's good, like Greenberg or something like that is nice. I don't like the fruity taste when it comes to like meat and things like that. So like honey baked ham, which I know is not fruit, but like that real sweet tasting meat. I don't like that stuff. I am very plain. So smoked is the way that I go. Yeah.
So you mean like?
I don't want a honey baked ham.
Okay.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want like drizzled honey all over, you know, the ham or the turkey or whatever. Smoked turkey. That's good for me. Or just regular, just in the oven turkey. That's fine too.
Are you a big stuffing guy?
Oh yeah.
All right.
There's very few of the traditional Thanksgiving fare foods that I don't like. You know, I like the only thing I'm really kind of 50-50 on is green bean casserole, only because sometimes the green beans can get mushy and then they don't really taste fresh anymore. But I like most of it. You know, my family this year we're doing an Italian Thanksgiving, so we're not doing turkey. We're doing lasagna, so I'm happy with that.
Hey, Grayson, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Grayson Ganoush, who is your buddy, UCLA fan, and he was a little upset because we didn't grill Gene Taylor earlier enough. Although I did ask him a question about what he's learned now that he's behind the scenes.
What were we supposed to say to him?
Well, we have been hard on the committee and perhaps would have said, Gene, sometimes do you just look at what you guys spit out and go, what the hell? But here's another. Parades were originally associated with military operations. Many civilians today don't recognize the historic importance. The irony, dismissing parades the day before Veterans Day. It is tomorrow, Veterans Day, which we had Rocky Blyer on earlier this week. A great veteran, was in the U.S. Army in Vietnam, had his foot almost blown off, and eventually won 4 Super Bowl titles.
Yeah, again, my personal preference for parades has nothing to do with any of you. You can like parades or not. My father was a veteran, and I don't think that any of my previous work would tell you I'm in any way against anything a veteran has ever done, Grayson. But continue being the most fun person on planet Earth.
Let's see. So let's go to a couple of others. College football in the East Coast schedule has figured out the Rose Bowl during the day for 100 years. They can do it again for 100 more. Sir blah, blah, blah. Rose Bowl better not overplay its leverage or it will get left out.
I mean, I don't think it's going to get left out of it. It's the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's not like just, the Meineke Car Care Bowl or anything like that, but it just might not get its way. And, yeah, I mean, but it's not going to not be involved in the big picture when all is said and done. There's no chance of that.
From Vernon, the cities of the Valley and the San Gabriel Front want that parade and game on the same day. As long as I lived in L.A., I never understood why. Or somebody was actually right there. From Jason, it seemed like people are being more grumpy about the Rose Bowl than Rose Bowl being grumpy. Don't worry about it. It will get figured out. This is a non-issue.
You're probably right.
You may be right.
You're probably
That's probably
right.
a pretty good point. Pretty good point.
You're probably right.
From Provo, Cougar fan. What the hell's happened to Brigham Young, by the way? I like the 4th of July parades. I remember seeing open flatbed with Spanish War of 1898 veterans sitting in chairs. That's pretty damn cool right there. All right, so there's...
By the way, BYU just got a win over Boise State, that was actually a good win for them.
Yeah, I know. That was, in fact, I didn't expect him to.
No,
I didn't expect him to because Boise was 6-2 entering.
Yeah, they've
that
had
game.
a disappointing year. There's no doubt about that. They concentrated a bit too much on that early game against Baylor. I think that's become pretty clear by now. And they got their win back, but at what cost? That, they turned right around and went on a bit of a skid after that. But, maybe that's just because that's where Baylor and BYU were supposed to eventually settle into more of the middle than where they were being kind of propped up early on in the season. And it's all sort of evened out. I mean, Baylor's basically right around 500. BYU's obviously taken some lumps, so it's all worked out in the end. But, yeah, they've been a bit of a disappointment, but do give them credit for getting a win last week.
On the college football playoff in the days of whenever they might play, and go Black 45, you have a good point, but you have the wrong day, I believe. The biggest question is, will the college football playoff move the championship game to Saturday instead of Monday? They can't play Saturday because the NFL has playoff games on Saturday, maybe Friday. And in fact, maybe it was Tim Brando or whoever that brought that up.
Any day would be better than Monday.
Yeah.
Any day would be better than Monday. Monday sucks. Monday is boring.
Everyone's still talking about the NFL playoff. Yeah, and it's kind of just, there's
it's
a game.
It's just there, and then it's done, and then the whole rest of the week goes by, and there's no talk about it. I think Monday's an awful time slot for it, for a championship game. Yeah, I'd much rather see it on Friday. And if people are going to be out partying and you lose viewers that way, too bad. I mean, I just would prefer it on a Friday, but maybe the numbers say that Monday's better. I can't imagine why or how. I mean, I guess because everybody's just at home rather than at work or something, getting ready for work or whatever. But Monday's an awful night for it. It takes so much sizzle out of it, in my opinion, and it just feels very
and they
generic.
kind of screwed it up.
I think part of it is when you change the new schedule, let's change this idea of hey, we're going to play every week for 3 months. You're going to love it. Then we're not going to play for a month. And then we're going to play one game and it's going to be over. They need to get rid of that. They should play one game until they play all the games until you only have one to play, right? And then everybody else does it. Instead of let's keep it for a month. It's going to make everything better.
Well, I mean, there's going to be, I kind of see what you're saying, but I mean, there's going to be lead-ins now. There's going to be quarterfinals and semifinals. So it's and we have bowl games anyways, but there is a bit of a drop-off in terms of the games and then eventually waiting on this national title game to finally be played, what seems like a month afterwards. It does feel that way, sort of. But, yeah, I just think the Monday has never really been a great
It works for the NCAA men's tournament.
It does. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it's a great night for it. For me, though, I'd much prefer to watch it on a Friday night and then fade into the weekend and watch the NFL all weekend, then watch the NFL and turn around and works back and, tonight's the national championship game and then tomorrow's Tuesday. And then the rest of the week just goes on and college football's over and done with. It's very, very... gosh, what's the right word here?
Well, here's the problem with it is that the build-up to it gets lost on the weekend.
Yes.
If it's on Friday, it's not so much when you play the game. It's the build-up leading up to it where you would have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, media sessions, press conferences, etc. And then, bam, you have the game on Friday. When you're going against the NFL with anything, it's I forget that there's even press conferences going on. Matt in D.C., old man Simpson yelling at parade. I'm the old man here.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you this. I'm a very young old man in many regards. I have no problem with that.
Steve,
I'm
if
happy
your
with
team
my
had
choices.
played in the Rose Bowl and you took an expensive school junket to go see it, then it's pretty special. Frogs 2011 Rose Bowl when they beat Wisconsin, went undefeated that year. Yeah, Paul, maybe if Florida State played in that game.
So if you took an expensive trip to go see it and the parade was on the first and the game was on the second, you're still probably going to be there then so you could do both things. Just saying.
Eric sent me a picture. I'm the brown dude. Eric, I'm not sure. A picture of, it must have been the game in Lubbock, the Baylor game against Texas Tech. I don't have time to put it up on the show, on the screen, though. Let's see. From Tony, when we get Paul to the amazing Rose Bowl parade someday, he will fall in love with it. Just wait. From Tony Altamar, your buddy and our buddy.
Yeah, not for all of the roses in the parade. I would not. I can't do it.
All right, so enough of all that. We'll come back. Paul Catalina's top 5. This is 365 Sports.
During Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels, our great selection of new cars and trucks come with amazing deals and competitive financing that makes you ask, why shop anywhere else? The new 2022 Ram trucks are designed to be durable, functional, and stylish. These legendary, award-winning trucks give you that first-class feel. Luxurious leather trim seating options, exceptional legroom and storage, plus surround view camera options you'd expect from a premium truck. Come see our selection today or browse online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right, go ahead, Grumpy.
Look, you know me, I'm perpetually grumpy. Life ain't fair and lunch ain't free. You know, that kind of thing. Top 5 things the CFP expansion needs to take head on. These are things they're going to have to deal with. You know, and again, number 2 on this list is maybe redundant by my rant, but we'll get to it anyway. Number 5, when you want the season to end. I think you have to figure out when you want that last game to be, that last night, that last showcase moment, before you figure out when the season has to start, which is part of the thing here going on with the Rose Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think one of the things that they're trying to tell the Rose Bowl is, I mean, there's a good chance that this calendar is going to flow through differently, and the Rose Bowl game may not be, the January 1st just may not be the day that we do these quarterfinals. And so if we have to change the calendar, then you're going to have to change with it. And that's what they're upset about. And look, if the thing is, if they have to move the parade and the game to accommodate that, maybe that's what they're going to have to do if they want that to be that way. But I know they want it on January 1st because that's the holiday. But, things are changing in college football. So they need to figure out, does the season end on January 1st, maybe? I mean, that's one of the ideas they had. Well, they'd have to move it up earlier. And then they're going to
start the season in July.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
because
championship games are the first weekend in December, right? The conferences. Yeah. Then Army-Navy. And you wonder how that maybe gets affected. You would think that's still the only game that day. But, again,
I mean, December is basically going to be a full month, a full regular season month for if you're a championship team. If you're going to be playing in the national championship, then you basically play an extra full month of a season.
Yeah, so
in December, but if you want to end by January.
I do think there's maybe too many gaps between the games.
The quarterfinal games is what I think they're talking about there. So that would be, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with that down the line. But, they've got to figure out when the end is going to be. So if the NFL playoffs start on January 14th, you kind of – we'll get to that in a second. The remaining bowl games, how do you work those into everything else? Not just your New Year's Six, but how do you work the remaining bowl games into the schedule in a way that can build excitement for the playoff? That's something that's going to be interesting to see because those aren't going away. You're still going to get 7 and 5 teams playing each other and 6 and 6 teams playing each other because there's money involved in that. There's TV money involved in that. And this, to me, can be a way to make it better. But those games, a lot of them are not going to be played on, those highlight days like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day anymore because you probably need those days for the playoff.
Yeah, there's games after New Year's Day that just kind of trickle on or linger. You almost don't even know why are they playing games after January 1st. That should maybe be playoff only or semifinals, quarterfinals, whatever. But, I mean, again, lobbyists in the bowl games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a college football fan, so, I mean, if games are on, that's great. But, I mean, I've never made it appointment television to see, the 4 o'clock on December 17th Bahamas Bowl between – name somebody
6 and 6 and 6 and 6.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's cool to have on in the background for the fans. I'm sure it's great to go to the Bahamas and all of that, but I think the remaining bowl games are just going to be what they are right now. I mean, how you amp that up for the playoff, I don't really know. Because I don't know how the Duke's Mayo Bowl is going to, get people who weren't going to watch otherwise to tune into the semifinals. And you can't have tie-ins in every single way, shape, or form just because there's just too many teams and too many conferences involved. But I mean, I suspect with the remaining bowl games, not much is going to really change there. You're just going to have some that, are no longer available because now they're going to be serving as a quarterfinal or I actually think, respectfully, I think a better question is: are these first round games at college sites? Are those bowl games?
Interesting, you asked, Craig.
No.
Number 3.
Wait a minute. You're talking about the quarterfinal round games?
How many?
The first round, it's in Tuscaloosa. Is that the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's going to be there.
That's what I'm saying is
I believe so.
Well, then that obviously that rips away another 4 games that otherwise teams would be in. So everything besides that would pretty much remain the same.
So number 3, following your question, is how many on-campus games do they have?
I think there's 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, but do you? There's 4, but. I would think there might be a drive for some more on down the line because once this starts going, the first rounds are going to be there, right? In the first 4 games. Well, if you had a bye and you're, say, Ohio State, you don't get to have that home game.
Well, but you get a bye.
Right.
But you may want
you'd
that.
like to have that.
You'd like
sure.
to have that home game, too.
I'd like to have my cake and eat it, too.
So that's and that's what the powers that be do. They're going to find a way to.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. The Texas high school football in Division 6A, the first and second, the top seeds in each division get to host the first game unless something weird happens.
So you get the bye, and you also want a home game. Do you want us to also just give you a straight trip to the national title game?
But
I mean, at some point
that happens.
But see, and look, you guys are making very rational points, but none of this has been based
No,
in
you're right.
rationality.
There'll be some that are arguing
so there's
about
gonna
it,
be
but-
that's going to be one of the things that they have to work out, because right now they can say, like, listen, you're going to have a first round. These teams you're going to have the first round bye. Great. And then these games are going to play out on campus. And then there's going to be something like, well, why don't we get one too?
I can already see Alabama complaining that they've been in the semifinals 3 years in a row and they haven't hosted a single game in Tuscaloosa. I know that's coming, but yeah, I mean, the bye is also an advantage. So they're going to have to figure out something there, because you can't just load it up for 4 teams to have every, I get that they're the top 4 teams or whatever, but getting a bye is you're in the next round without playing. Like, that is your benefit. So I don't know that you also then give them a home game, but yeah, that's, like you said, something they're going to have to figure out, because I can see that Ohio State complaining that they're in the playoff every year and they've never hosted a game in Columbus because they're always a top 4 seed.
Don't be as good.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, but that's...
Lose another game.
That's one thing.
You lose the 3 games.
Yeah. Number 2, a silly parade. Moving on. I've already made my point about this.
Please, God,
Although, look, this video is going to be separate when it goes on to watch. I think they need to figure out something with the Rose Parade, the Rose Bowl. All that has to be very much more flexible and not be holding this up because of the parade and the parade only. It's like they can say it's about the game all they want. It's not about the game. It's about the parade. They've made that clear. The CFP committee does not care about the parade. The parade is not what they're trying to fix. The playoff is what they're trying to fix, so they care about the game, and they need to get to that. So,
okay. Please don't
see
bring
my
that up
previous
anymore.
work
Please
about
go to
parades.
1. Please go to 1.
Number 1,
Camera
the
1.
NFL schedule.
Yep.
This is something that is their own fault. They had, for a long time, the NFL kind of had, I don't know if it was a gentleman's agreement, but they were just like, we're going to have our games these days, and you guys have your games these days. And then eventually, billionaires said, hey, if they're not going to play on these days, then let's do that. And took them over in December. And they got their appointment television watching, and they've got Saturday games in December, which college football gave up. So now they're either going to have to go around it or go up against it. And maybe try to flex a little more muscle, whatever muscle they have. But this is going to be the hardest thing for them, is to
I don't think they're going to give back a piece of turf.
I doubt it.
They want to conquer the world.
This is college football's fault. For the first time the NFL did a game on a Saturday, they should be that needs to be a one-off.
Yeah, I mean,
in December, so.
I don't know. I don't know how you go about doing that. I mean, NFL is going to have their numbers, and they're always going to be great. But I mean, count me as somebody that there's a NFL playoff game going on. It's entirely dependent on what the matchup is, just like college football, on whether or not I'm going to watch it or not. Now, if college football's got a better game on in the time frame than what the NFL's putting on there, then I'll watch college football and gladly do so. But I know I'm in the minority with that, and I don't know how exactly that would work. But yeah, the NFL, while college football is just la-di-da, the NFL went and stole a bunch of territory and a bunch of TV territory, and the college football world was, just like with everything else, very slow to react, and kind of put themselves in this situation where a lot of time to perhaps play some games is blocked off now, unless you want to butt heads. So I'd be interested to see, like, if you threw on Ohio State against Ohio State, Alabama versus a Browns Steelers divisional round game, of what those ratings would look like.
In December now, that's not even going to be the playoffs. That's the regular season. So you're talking about a regular season game.
That's true, yeah.
A regular season game on December, let's just say 10th.
I'm sure the NFL will still have 7 million more viewers, but, I don't think that Ohio State and whoever just said Bama couldn't have a really healthy number. But, yeah, obviously you would get dented a bit. So, yeah, I don't know. That's for the TV folks and the big paid administrators to figure out.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Sports Tonight. This show condensed at 10:30 on the CW channel, thanks to what Emery Winter does for us every night with that. Also, our Baylor-Kansas State pregame will be Saturday, 4 o'clock on the CW channel. And we have pretty much covered it all. And much more to get to tomorrow, including we will have our picks for the Big 12, and Levi Caraway has sent us other games outside of the Big 12 We'll make our predictions. All of us, I think, were 4-3 last weekend. And many other guests to get to. For Paul Catalina and his parades, Craig Smoak is back, the Dragon. Garrett Ross, Jack McKenzie, Jacob Wilson, Emery Winter, Levi Caraway behind the scenes, our amazing sponsors, and you. Thank you. You have kept us entertained and honest most of the time. I'm David Smoak. Good night, 365 Sports.